Hello. Make sure my microphone's on. Hi, guys. Thank you for waiting. Can you hear me all right out there in the interweb world? I have a very special friend with me today, and his name is Mitch Brisker. I want him
Hi,
to,
guys.
I want him to introduce himself. So tell everybody. There's a lot of my recovery community in here that may not have seen you before, and so give a little, just like a little synopsis of who you are and what you do, etc.
Absolutely, it'd be my pleasure. So my name is Mitch Brisker. I spent many decades in Scientology for 30 years, almost 30 years. I was I was a media professional working for them. I was kind of the chief architect of their global propaganda machine. I made a lot of training films, but originally, and the reason that I connected with Lindsay is because when I got into Scientology, I was a 23-year-old heroin addicted film school dropout, which was kind of my story going in. And so my own particular story of surviving addiction and becoming well again, but not really well because I was indoctrinated into Scientology. But I did get over drugs, so that's kind of my story. And I've done a lot of work in that area, not like Lindsay's done. I mean, I did a lot of work through Narconon, which we'll talk about, but
Yes. Yes.
that's basically my story.
Well, and then so you have published a book when you left Scientology, right?
Oh
And
yeah, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention this. So yeah, when I left, yeah, I wrote a book called Scientology: The Big Lie: How I Made an Evil Cult Look Good. It's available on Amazon and pretty much wherever books are sold, you can order it. It's
it's in
all
my
over the
link too.
place.
I put in the
Yeah,
description.
thank you very much for doing that. And I have a channel on YouTube called Scientology: The Big Lie. And if you're watching here on Lindsay's channel, you could also open a tab and watch it on my channel.
Yeah. And subscribe.
Yeah, yeah.
But so Mitch, so how long ago did you leave Scientology? We can get to that later more, but just curious, like when the time was.
Yeah, we'll get to the details later. It was well, I started to leave a long time ago, which is its own story. Because for a lot of us, it's a slow motion train wreck. You know, getting out of cults, getting out of abusive relationships. You know, it's like it's just not a sudden thing. For me, I had an opportunity to stop reacting with them, interacting rather with them during when lockdown happened, and I took advantage of that.
Oh.
So I really went into sort of a slow motion interaction with them. I was still doing a few little writing jobs, but I was given a choice when lockdown hit. If you want to keep working for us, you're going to have to come up here and bubble. Nobody knew it was going to be 2 years. I was like, no, I can't do that. I'd had enough of being pretty much the only person, on that base who wasn't in uniform. And it's really isolating. I mean, that's just another way that I was isolated. But yeah, so that would be 2020, early 2020. I did a little work. And then it was really in October of 2021 when I called Jeff Hawkins, who I had worked with in the 80s, who was an old friend of mine, who was a marketer for Scientology. He was also he was the genius behind the Dianetics campaign in the 80s. He was also notably one of the people that was severely physically abused by David Miscavige. And I called Jeff up because he'd been a friend, and I called him up to say hi and to get Mike Render's number. And then I called Mike. So when I sort of started reconnecting with the people that I worked with at the international base, although I worked with Jeff before that, and that would have been in October 21. So that's when I made a big move. And I was just started writing my book.
Wow.
And so that's pretty much the time frame.
Yeah, I'm glad you got out of that.
Yeah, me too. But my head really got out of it probably 2014, 15, 13, right in there. My head was just so out of it. I mean,
Of course.
it was horrible to say, but all those years that I stayed in, I just didn't want to be unemployed, and I was trying to figure it out. I mean, there's more to it than that. We'll talk about it later.
Well, and I mean, and I'm sure that's a very common experience. I have heard actually many times with many.
Absolutely, absolutely. I've heard the same thing. I mean, I know people that have stayed in very abusive relationships because they didn't want to leave the kids, they didn't want to leave the money, they didn't. And
It
they
is
thought.
very similar.
I'm sorry. Say again.
It is very similar, and so is
Yeah.
addiction, really. So it's kind of like you've overcome a lot. It's like
Yeah. Yeah.
a whammy there.
Yeah. No, it's also amazing when I started talking to you how much we had in common, even though we're so different.
I
You
know.
know, I'm old enough to almost be your grandfather, maybe. I don't know. But, we grew up in different eras, is really the point. But we both got into drugs when we were like 15. We both got pretty much sober, like off of drugs. I mean, I had a little lingering problem for a few years, but really the big move was when we were 23.
Yeah.
We both grew up with some amount of privilege in our families because of our families were relatively well off. We had all these intersecting things, and we also both had a passion for a spiritual mental health journey that was real and authentic, not some phony shit like Scientology. Anyway, so.
When we talked, though, I was just like, I told you guys last night, I believe, but when we talked on the phone, I was just like, instantly like felt a connection with him. And I know sometimes that sounds cheesy, but with us kind of recovering addicts or alcoholics, whatever words you like to call yourself, or call the community, we have you instantly have like a bond, right? And then we find so much in common. It's like, oh my God. It was pretty cool. And then so I want to know too, like, so you were 23 years old, and then you were addicted to heroin on the streets, right? And then how did you find Scientology originally? Like, what happened?
Yeah, that's kind of a complicated story, but I'll try to put it into a nutshell.
All of it. Just curious, like the basis of like.
I never identified as a drug addict or a dope fiend or a junkie. I don't know. I think I may have identified as a junkie, but I identified as kind of to justify it, like a cool hip junkie, like a Kerouacian figure who was like living on the edges of society, and you'd be doing what I did if you just had the balls.
Heroin.
Right? Yeah, you know all that. I'm sure. So anyway, I was trying to get off. I was always a struggle for me. I was always struggling to not get too addicted or to get off of heroin. And I started doing it, as I said, when I was 15. So I'd gone into this rehab, right? This like sketchy rehab in LA. Because I needed to get ready to get back in school. I'd just been accepted into California Institute of the Arts. I really wanted to have a career. I wanted to earn my credential in film and blah, blah, blah. And I had this girlfriend. It was a very beautiful young woman who I'd been living with for a while. And she was also simultaneously getting clean, right? So we were kind of really getting our act together. And while I was in the rehab, the owner of the rehab got a call one day from CBS Studio Center, from an independent film production company, who were making a film called Dusty and Sweet Smiggy, which it was kind of a drug-fueled sort of a cinema verite version of American Graffiti. It was like about addicts romping in Los Angeles. And so the director, Floyd Mutrux, who was not a Scientologist, not at the time, he was looking for an attractive young couple who had experience as heroin addicts, and he didn't really care if they'd been actors. I had done some acting and modeling and blah, blah, blah to make money while I was in school. And it's a long story. My older brother was a fashion photographer, so I got jobs through him and stuff. But so it wasn't out of the realm of possibility for me. I'm like, oh, cool. I'm a film student. I certainly know a lot about heroin addiction. So we walked in. We were immediately cast in this film, and just jump forward. The film was the top grossing film for 2 weeks in the summer of '71. It's still on Amazon. You can like watch it.
I want to show them after, though. Can I bring it after where I talk? Because
yeah, you can.
Beautiful. And well, go ahead, finish, and I'll show later.
Okay. Anyway, so so jump forward. We're living together in West Hollywood in an apartment near where I grew up, and a week before Christmas, she died of a drug overdose. Right. So it was. I was really devastated because we had just connected with a program in Santa Monica. We were both in January, like second. We were going into a program to get off of drugs, start our life over. The last picture I have of her is of making handmade Christmas cards, and I've really done a number of things that really honor her life because she was really a terrific woman. And so then it turns out that the director of the film was dating some girl who was doing Scientology at Celebrity Center, which was a relative new place back then. And he took me down there and thought, hey, maybe they could help you with your drug problem. Wow. So that's how I got in. So I kind of came in with a celebrity director. He was, he was thought of as one of their celebrities. So.
we will address we will address the questions as soon as we're over with this part. I don't want to interject because I forget what I'm saying when I do that, as you've all seen. Okay, so Mitch, I want to ask you, so but the girlfriend, so it was, how was that? I mean, how, you said she was younger,
No, she was actually a couple years older than me. I think I was 20, I was 23.
Wow.
When she 22, I think she was 25, so 23, 24, whatever. There was a couple of years, when you're that age. I mean, I don't usually date older, but when you're that age, it's like,
wow, no, but
because everybody older than me is dead. No, I'm just kidding. So
that's young for her to
it was very tragic. It was really something that has stayed with me every day. And really the biggest tragedy was I went right into Scientology and I never had a chance to process the trauma because they don't know how to do that. They don't know how to do that. But, you get into this, not to go too far off topic, but, in Scientology, they have a way of creating, and cults do, and abusive relationships do, creating this kind of warm, wet, moist cocoon of emotional support. It's completely artificial and it's not based on anything. But while you're in there, you're sort of indoctrinated or gaslit or whatever you want to call it into thinking you're trauma, that you're over it. But you're not, because it's in your body. And if you don't get rid of it, it's going to be there forever.
Exactly. Yeah, that's not off topic at all. That is exactly, I love to talk about how, because I think we forget a lot of times just how trauma does live in our body, and it's, we can only push it down so long and pretend it's not there and ignore it, but it always comes out, doesn't it? It always comes out.
Yeah. I know, looking back, like as a Scientologist, the way the mindset is, you're so divorced from reality. You're so divorced from your body that you don't know what it is that it's telling you. You don't know. So that's a whole long conversation. Let's move on.
Yeah, no, but how you just described it, that was addiction for me. Like divorce from, like totally. So it's just wild.
Yeah, I mean, I was left when I got into Scientology. I mean, so why did I do heroin at 15? Like, why did I make that decision? I mean, I grew up in a kind of a drug-centric time and a drug-centric area. I grew up in Laurel Canyon. There were certainly a lot of drugs up there. With Vietnam War era, there was a lot of heroin coming in from that. So, yeah, certainly the opportunity was there. But I was like the first one of my peers to do it.
Really?
Like, like my literal peers, like my high school friends. I sought it out. And Scientology never gave me an opportunity to really process what about your life made you so anxious and so disconnected that you then found a way of medicating yourself. And, I smoked a little weed. I did a lot of other drugs, but for me, it was heroin. I mean, that was just like, that was my drug of choice. So there's a reason for that. That's a very specific thing.
Well, exactly what you said about, like, also it resembles like the warm hug. I remember people saying like heroin did that for me. I like felt like I'm okay.
I'm home.
Yes, I have a
yeah. It's like crazy. Everybody pukes the first time they shoot heroin, right? Everybody like pukes.
It's not even pleasant. It's not a pleasant experience, and that's the power of addiction too. It's like,
I think. I think because your body knows inherently, but then once you push your body through that narrow little orifice back into the womb, then you're going to want to stay there. And so it's a real struggle. I mean, I've never had a substance abuse problems once I got off of drugs in my 20s, early 20s. I never had a problem with alcohol or any other drug. So it's just,
that's interesting. So, I don't hear that often. That's very interesting.
No, I just became like a sex addict. To be really honest, I mean, I basically decided that I would move the chaos of being a heroin addict into the chaos of relationships. So,
do you know how often I hear that? Literally, almost everybody says that.
Yeah.
So it's worse. We all have so much in common with that. Because why? Because it's not the drugs, the alcohol, the sex. It's what we're
needing. It's what we're missing. It's what we were never seen. All of us were abandoned somehow, and we never even knew it. Even if we think we had, and I had great loving parents, it was just not obvious how I was abandoned. And I'm not trying to say this to be like a victim, but like if you think, like, especially anybody coming out of a cult like Scientology, if you think you don't have complex PTSD, if you think you don't have attachment issues, if you think just because you walked away you escaped all that, you are looking at reality through this veil of invisibility that you can't even see. It's just amazing. I mean, one of the reasons I sort of bailed on YouTube for a while, I was like, no. Like, here's the thing. It's really easy to look at that narcissistic partner and say, that's the problem. Your life is now destroyed. And it's really easy to look at Scientology and say, that's the problem. They're the problem. He's the problem. What's really hard is looking at yourself and saying, what the fuck am I going to do?
Yeah.
So that I don't have this, I don't recognize this chaos as the thing that feels comfortable to me. So, I've, in the last 4 years, I've done a lot of work, and it's really starting to pay off. And it's just like, when people get involved in this, we'll talk about this later. It's what I refer to as the normalization of emotional abuse, which there's a lot of aspects of life, especially cults and abusive relationships, where you're indoctrinated into accepting a certain level of emotional abuse as normal. And then you leave that thing, it comes with you. That acceptance, it comes with you, and you'll find enemies, and you'll threaten people, and you'll do all kinds of crazy shit because you've been indoctrinated that way. You don't know it because to you, it feels like it's your skin. It's you, and it's not.
You just said that so well. Like I always try to explain it. I'm like, you guys know what I mean? But like, you literally just that's exactly it. It's, I got excited. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah, no, it's no problem. It's just like self-awareness is a wonderful thing. I mean, I to some, I have a long way to go, but I really celebrate the degree to which I become self-aware, and the degree to which I can now actually sit in my own pain, and the degree to which I can take accountability for things I did. Because in Scientology, I would have a trauma response to something, and I'd go out and be out ethics, and I would get in trouble, or I needed help, I would be ostracized. And
explain that, what that means. Like, just
okay, let's say you do something, like, let's say you get really triggered, whatever, and you do something, let's say of a sexual nature. I had all kinds of issues with that. I mean, I was just like for a while, I was really out of control, because that's how I regulated my emotions, right? So then you don't get help with that in Scientology. Like, what you need is help with the trauma that's causing you to do that. You don't get help with that. You get in trouble because you violated their rules. You have sinned. It's very, I hate to say it, but it's very Catholic. They're very invested in this idea of correct behavior and sin. So then when I started to address this for real, it took a couple of months. And then all of a sudden I was regulated in my body, and I didn't have that problem anymore. Just knowing that I had been lied to the way I had been lied to in Scientology, and knowing what was the true source of the problems that I had, 50% of the problem went away.
No shit. Wow.
Yeah. So I can't really say that loud enough. That's like.
Yeah, well, the thing is too, is it's like, you're not understanding, and then you're being shamed, and then you're being told over and over again. It's just like when people say addiction is like a moral failing, but you're like actually in it, being indoctrinated, hearing that, and then being punished for it. And it's like, I can't imagine that how that would psychologically affect us. Like,
yeah, it's devastating. I mean, you become a shameful person. You can't have normal relationships with anybody, not your wife or your girlfriend, or you can't. It's all of that has been taken away from you, and you're just made to feel bad.
So then the thing is too, like you just said, that you didn't get to work through any trauma, because if you have to go and probably get audited and everything, I don't know exactly, and talk about
That's right.
But you never get to actually like process it. And
no, you don't.
And so you're screwed.
No, because all they really care about is guiding you back through the trauma, which they are like positive is going to somehow. It's like Scientology is kind of like a really poor man's version of exposure therapy, like from the 50s, right? That everybody is just thrown away like a million years ago. So, but there's no real like level of exploring what you did, like what lies in your shadow, right? That you're hiding, that you're masking, that you're like pushing away, like really getting in there, because it's like Hubbard he never had processes to cover that shit because he was really crazy. Like this was an insane person writing these things and then convincing people it was going to make their mental health better, but it didn't. So,
and only just the little tiny bit that I've heard over the years about him and the teachings and everything, I was just like, whoa.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was, yeah. And I look back, it's funny when you leave a cult, when you leave something like Scientology or an abusive relationship, and I can't say that enough, because I've done both. Your initial reaction, once you calm down a little bit, one of your initial reactions is going to be say, what was I thinking?
Yeah.
And then as time goes on, you just scream that louder and louder. Like, and you deserve to do that, to just yell, like, what was I thinking? And then there's a lot of people crawl out of the woodwork and they say, how could you be so stupid? To which I say, well, maybe you just weren't smart enough to join a cult, because there's a lot of smart people in cults. So.
Exactly. I mean, the people that are in there and that they recruit, like everything that I've read, it says like they go for the very smart people. They want the very talented and smart people.
Yeah, especially if they have money. Well, except for staff members, they don't give a crap about it. If you're a staff, they don't care if your IQ is not even above room temperature. It's just like, I mean, I got to tell you, I met some great people in the Sea Org, warm, wonderful, kind, talented. But I also met some of the stupidest, most inept, most abusive people that I've ever come across. So they're definitely an equal opportunity employer when it comes to personality types and smarts.
Well, and you said, what did you say? Did you say abusive people? You said
yeah. Like most of the people are not. Most of the people, but there's
always some though.
Yeah, there's. I mean, like David Miscavige. Like there's just people like Marty Rathbun. There's like these people that they weren't. They're just like, they're like truly. Oh, we have to. Yeah, they're truly. Yeah, they're just evil people. They're beyond redemption.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So okay. So now this is so interesting. Okay, so now I want to know. Wait, where did we stop? We stopped at.
We were talking about my origin story. Is that somehow we got into some stuff about cults and trauma, and
because it seems to be so intertwined. In my opinion, I don't know because I haven't lived the cult experience, but doesn't it seem to be so intertwined? Like the relationship, like you were talking about, like the between attention, the religion, the experience of relationship abuse, or
well, I think it's similar. I think what the connecting point is. Yeah, I think the real connecting point, like the correlative point, is how our reward system works. Yeah, because you're talking about the dynamics of the human reward system, and a lot of us, like one thing I know for a fact is that most of the people recruited into Scientology are they're there because they were attracted to it in a vulnerable time, and they're idealistic. So basically, all of Scientology recruiting, the way it draws people in, is organized to attract the vulnerable and the idealistic. So, and ultimately, our mental reward system, or physiological reward system, would rather be rewarded. It's going to want to be rewarded. I mean, you leave heroin, you stop shooting up. I mean, heroin is a great reward for your reward system. It has a lot of downsides, but while you're doing it. So, but being accepted into the community, and when I got into Scientology, it wasn't some oddball religion. It was like a counterculture, a new agey kind of thing, presenting itself. But the idea of saving the world and being part of some great mission, like this is another reward trap.
Yes, it's that. You explain that so well. Yeah, and it's like it's an ideology, right? It's like I'm for, like, this is my purpose, like it
Right.
means something and my life means something. And I mean, and the belonging, I mean, that's kind of like, you know, what I seek addictions for is like that belonging, that love, that, you know, didn't you find like you belonged, like did you feel like you finally just fit in and like
In
felt,
Scientology?
yeah, when you got in there? Is
Well,
that your,
I mean, yes and no. I was just so out of it. I mean, you know, I was,
well, eventually after?
yeah, eventually, yeah, and then sort of, you know, I kind of emerged eventually in the Scientology as this guy, this person who did a lot of important work. So I was kind of, you know, I had a special position in there, and I had to process that out of there too, because it's really narcissistic. I mean, they put me in this position where, ooh, you're really special, you know, and I could get away with stuff until the end. But you know, you've heard people talk about like you get special treatment if you're really productive. Like the more productive you are, the less you're like they talked about this in respect to Danny Masterson. Like, you know, hands off, he's a celeb, you know,
Oh yeah.
like yeah. So I got that same kind of special treatment. I mean, I wasn't drugging women and SAing them, but you know, I had my own personal problems, but I got in a lot less trouble for the stuff I did.
Well, he's in a completely different category than.
Yeah, I wasn't. Yeah, I wasn't.
Not
I
even
wasn't.
comparable.
I wasn't. No, but I wasn't. I guess I did because I knew him, but I wasn't breaking the law,
Right.
and I wasn't abusing anybody. But I was violating their laws and getting in a lot less trouble than your normal run-of-the-mill Scientology because I had status within the group, and so that was also another thing that when I left. Like I left that. I left the community. I left a career. Like I left all this stuff. I mean, I literally jumped out of an airplane, hoping that I could make a, you know, a parachute out of pocket lint by the time I hit the ground.
So that's the thing too, is like, so when you leave, like, this is what I've always admired the courage of anybody that's left anything, a relationship, a cult, obviously, because your whole life is intertwined, right? Like your job, most of them work. I mean, they do work for Scientology, but even if they work for like Scientology owned owners of companies.
Yeah, sometimes they have jobs and they lose those jobs, right?
And so when you leave, it's like, and then your housing, if you're in the Sea Org, like your housing is provided, right? And so it's just like, you know, it's crazy. So
Yeah, I mean, I know some of these comments.
Yeah,
we'll get to them. No, it's fine. No, I don't mind finding the person in the room that hates me the most and having a conversation with them if they're willing to have a real conversation.
Thank you. That's what I was saying earlier about.
Yeah, I don't mind. If you want to just throw a beer bottle at me, you can fuck off. But you know, if you want to actually have a conversation, you got a beef with me and you want to talk about it, I'm perfectly happy to talk with you about it. I mean, I really don't judge. Like I see all of these. I try not to. I strive to not judge. I see all of this stuff. I see it in many aspects of life. I see it on YouTube. I see it all over the place. This normalization of emotional abuse through programming, and it's like the only way you're going to ever resolve it for yourself is to have some degree of empathy for those people, to understand that it's coming from hurt and it's coming from pain, and because you're never going to heal. Because you know the old saying, revenge is like, it's like drinking poison and thinking the other guy's going to die. So it's like, you know,
it hurts us. Yeah. So now, where does Narconon come in? What Narconon is, first of all.
Okay, so Narconon is a drug rehabilitation program that's sponsored by the Church of Scientology. It falls under what are known as the social betterment corporations, of which there are a number. And it's I can give you a little bit of background on it. It was founded in the 1960s by I think it was Chico State Prison by a convicted felon by the name of Benitez. I have all these notes. Anyway, there's an entire chapter in my book called Narconon Redux, which covers the whole thing because I actually was responsible for redoing the entire program and like rewrite. Anyway, whatever. We'll get to it. So anyway, Mr. Benitez, whose name I will remember, he read a Scientology book in prison. Scientology likes to make its books available to prisoners, especially California. And some of those prisoners have gone on to great fame, like Charles Manson, who read Scientology books in prison. So Willie, his name was William Benitez. He read this book and he was inspired. This is one of these books that is used to draw people into Scientology. So it has a lot of wisdom that's borrowed from other philosophers. And it has a pretty description of man's potential. So Willie Benitez was inspired by this book to form a self-help group in prison and he called it Narconon. He wrote to L. Ron Hubbard. L. Ron Hubbard gave his blessing. Okay, so years later, the Scientology is really blowing up. It's got, I mean, in a bad way, it's got all kinds of PR problems. And this group, which many people have heard of, they're called the Guardian's Office. They predated the Office of Special Affairs, which is Scientology's division that handles dirty tricks and public relations, right? Yeah. So Hubbard instructed the Guardian's Office to start establishing programs that would appear to be of a social benefit as a way of making Scientology look good. So they grabbed onto Willie Benitez's Narconon program and said, wow, we have a drug rehab program. But it was just a piece of shit because it wasn't based on, they just kludged it together from a bunch of weird Scientology stuff, right? Wow. So let's jump, and it was run by public Scientologists. It was not part of the Sea Org. It was kept completely secular, and it was run under a group called ABLE, which is Association for Better Living Through Education. And they have an educational component, they have a morals component, they have the drug rehab component, and they have these different social betterment groups, right? And so, jump forward, Narconon becomes this pretty big thing in Scientology, which I don't know why they ever got into drug rehab. I mean, in 2015, 13,000 people died in drug rehab. So this is like, it's somewhat, about this. It's like not a safe, it's dangerous. I mean, you're jumping in to the belly of the beast to help people. It's not, it's not a walk in the park.
Too, and for places that have rehabs, a lot of liability you're taking on,
Yeah, there's a lot of liabilities, and Scientology suffered that liability by 2014. 2014, Narconon's international headquarters in Oklahoma, a place called Arrowhead, they had 4 deaths. Okay.
Wow.
And as a result and there were many more deaths than that.
I heard. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And so one of those deaths was a young woman, Brittany, I can't think of her last name. She was given a weekend furlough from the program. Bad idea. Wow. She came back in with drugs hidden in a body cavity. And whatever they were in broke, and she died of an overdose. They left her unattended in the withdrawal part with like heroin or something stuffed up her cooch, and like the condom broke, and she died, and it was really tragic. So now Miscavige is faced with all of these lawsuits, and so I get a call, come to LA. So then I go to LA, and he says we need to redo the whole Narconon program because we're just going to keep getting sued and sued and sued. I mean, he says to me, okay, this is in my book, but he says to me, can you, and he's using really disgusting language. Like, that was kind of disrespectful what I said, that she had, something stuffed up her cooch, but that's because what Miscavige said. Like, that's how he described it. He was saying, this girl's parents are just looking for a payday and they want to blame it on us. Oh, I mean, he had just no respect for this poor girl.
Tell everybody who he is, though. Some people don't know.
Oh, I'm sorry. He's the quote unquote secular leader of Scientology. So he took over after L. Ron Hubbard died, and he's a crazy little man who's really dangerous, and I worked with him for years, and he made sure that I was liked Scientology until I no longer could.
Wow.
I mean, part of it was around 2012 when I saw his mask drop, and I witnessed him personally physically abusing staff, when I really, like, my head was just like, I got to get the fuck out of here.
Wow. I mean, yeah, because it's like slowly that you started to like see things, right? And you're like, what the?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, sometimes you see what you want to see, right? And you don't see what you don't want to see, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's another thing. So, okay. So then.
Narconon. So then in 2014, we rewrite the whole Narconon program. I wrote like films and blah, blah, blah. I think like 28 films or something to guide people through the program. And Miscavige says, get rid of Willie Benitez. He never had anything to do with this. The whole thing becomes based on, Narconon is officially based on, get this, the writings of research of philosopher and humanitarian L. Ron Hubbard. Like, that's what it says in the materials, right? Nothing about Scientology. Nothing. Right? Like, as though, I mean, the thing he's the most noted for is Scientology, but no, he's a researcher and a philosopher and a humanitarian. So anyway, but if you look at the materials, it also says property of L. Ron Hubbard Library. That's Scientology. L. Ron Hubbard Library is the Church of Spiritual Technology, which is Scientology. So,
right. L. Ron Hubbard is the original founder or developer. What would you
well,
say?
everything in the program is from Hubbard.
But of Scientology, he's the original.
Yeah. No, he originated. He founded it. He came up with the name. He established it. I think it was in 1953.
Oh yeah. So okay. So then, that's a lot of information. I'm like, I want to know what the method of change is. Well, how it was a while ago though, right? Do they still use the same materials that you know of, or the same structure?
Oh, the ones that I worked on? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, here possibly we should back up.
Yeah, you can.
And I should explain.
Yeah,
I should explain.
We have time.
How is it that I got off of heroin in Scientology? Yet I'm telling you, the last thing you would want to do is get off of heroin and so on. How is that? How do those things resolve? Okay. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you exactly the thing. And you and I have never discussed this. We are now, and I'm really interested to talk to you about this. The two main things you need to get over any kind of an addiction is you need a community of really loving people that are supporting your journey, and you need structure. You need something to do every day. You need a place to go do it and people to do it with. And this is how you get off of drugs, okay? Wow. So when I got into Scientology, they let me live with them. I lived with them for 6 weeks. So I all of a sudden found a community, and that community wasn't even trying to recruit me. They said, if you apply yourself, you can get off of drugs using this. Wow. And when you're off of drugs, you can decide if you want to go on to Scientology. They don't do that anymore. This was a total fluke. And it's not like they'll ever go back to doing that, because this is just the arc of what's in the DNA of a cult. Like Synanon, same thing. Synanon was hugely successful. Everybody loved it. And then it became an armed cult that was putting rattlesnakes through the mail slots of attorneys. So, it's just how these groups go. So but anyway, so I just want to make sure that I'm clear. What I found in Scientology was not Scientology. Right. What I found in Scientology was a community, was structure, and was a community of people that cared about me. I mean, it was bizarre. Like, I was there a week and I was in so much pain. I was 6 foot tall. I weighed 128 pounds. My girlfriend had just died. It was like I hadn't slept in weeks.
You're vulnerable.
And I was really strung out. And I was there for about a week, and I managed, long story, I managed to get a hold of a prescription of Quaalude, which, the party drug, which would knock the shit out of it. Huh?
I never had one.
Yeah, well, that's because they stopped. You missed all the fun. No, but they're great sleeping pills. So I got this doctor to write me a script, and I got so I took it for a couple of days. But one night I was walking home from Chorus, from the Celebrity Center where it used to be on 8th Street in downtown LA. I was walking home from there to the staff house because I was living with the staff back when this woman, Yvonne Jench, who founded it, who was really a very lovely person who cared about artists. So I stopped at a coffee shop on the way home. I passed out in a plate of fries. I shit you not. Like, I dropped a Quaalude. I passed out, and I'm like face down in a plate of fries with ketchup all over my face, probably. And these two students from Celebrity Center, they recognized me. So they picked me up. They walked me the rest of the way to the staff house. Yvonne Jench met me at the door, helped me get in bed. The next day, one of the staff came to me and said, you need to turn the drugs over. And I went, oh, okay. I gave them the prescription. I never heard another word. They said, it's time for you to go to course. Like, it's not like it is today where you'd be in ethics trouble and you'd be having to donate money and do an immense. They were just like, they took the drugs, they flushed them away. They said, keep going.
What's ethics trouble?
Well, sorry. The ethics department in Scientology, that's the department, they call it like HR, but that's the department that manages the Scientology, what is called the justice system, which is a system of, it's a system of crimes and misdemeanors and high crimes. And, you have different kinds of punishments associated with which one, with different kind of, sins you might have committed. So yeah, that ethics would be the people you would be sent to handle that.
Gotcha. Wow.
Yeah. So, but it was just like amazing. I was like, wow, these these are really good people. I'm like not even in trouble. They just took the drugs and said, keep going, dude.
So nice.
Yeah. And then, of course, all of those people, except for a couple, are gone. They all left Scientology.
Wow.
The people that I was dealing with.
So another thing too, I want to know. So I want to tell everybody, Narconon is, there's literally 10 minutes from my house. And I live in Clearwater. I'm like 10, 15 minutes from Flag, which is their hub or whatever.
Yeah, it's international spiritual headquarters. So
yeah,
it's their biggest money-making location.
You guys know, if you live in Florida, you know exactly. It's downtown Clearwater, and it's spooky down there. But so I never knew of that Narconon was Scientology backed or sponsored or part of or whatever.
Right.
And so I think there's a NA program. Tell me if you guys in the audience knows. It's for kids of parents that were in NA that are drug addicts. It's almost like, so there's Al-Anon for alcoholics. You probably heard of it, right? Al-Anon's for like the family. But there's one for maybe it is Narconon. I don't know, but
no, I mean, Narconon's not a 12-step program. So
no, I know, but so I thought that that's what that was. And then I heard, there's a program like close to me, and then I'm like, oh my God, it's not. And then I had people that have messaged me and said different things like their methods were not like scientific methods, allegedly, or whatever. I don't know.
No, they're not. They're absolutely not. They're
like
absolutely
staring
not
at each other and stuff. I don't know.
Okay, well, let me just address that. There are things in Scientology called TRs, or training regimen, or training routines. Okay. You do these as a way of increasing your ability to communicate, because Scientology counseling is based on communication. Now, the first one of these TRs, which is called OTTR0, that involves just you and another person sitting in chairs across from one another with your eyes closed and just being there. Now, it just so happens that coincidentally, that experience is very important when you're coming off drugs. And I'm saying coincidentally.
Yeah, that's true.
The idea of being able to, it's a very Eastern religious idea, which has found its way into contemporary mental health treatment, which is you need to be able to sit with your pain.
Wow.
Right? You need to be able, the narcissist who destroyed your life, you become triggered. You need to be able to sit with that pain and not be reactive. The cult that you're leaving, you need to be able to, the drug that you're strung out on, so it actually was good. They have this one training routine, which is actually good. Now, it's also should just be meditation. Like if you're coming off of heroin, if you could get yourself to even meditate for a minute and sit there and just be with the pain, it would be helpful. So Narconon does use these training routines, right? And it was part of the thing that helped me get off drugs. Just that first one. I wish I had just done that one. And you don't need to sit across from another person. You could just meditate under a tree.
True.
Right? You do it for a minute, and then maybe the next day 2 minutes, and then maybe the next day 5 minutes. And it would help you. I mean, you're a trained addiction counselor. You're a mental health worker. You would agree with that.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, and a big problem for us is not being able to sit with ourselves and be quote okay, right? Like coming off drugs, it's extremely difficult to not be squirmy and to not want to want to you don't feel right in your skin,
Right. So it was helpful in that respect. But you mentioned scientific. Okay, so here's the thing. Narconon promotes an 80% success rate. It's a complete lie.
There's no way for them to even determine that.
Okay, well, here's kind of what the best I could figure that it's based on is that most of the people who sign up for Narconon are gone before they finish the program. Of the people that stay, they claim 80% of them are drug-free a year later. Mm-hmm. Okay, so they're really lying to you when they're saying 80% of the people who finish the program, but not 80%. It's only like 3% of the people that start the program. So that's probably I don't know, you probably would know what the statistics are. with drug rehabs?
It's so difficult to even. I've read a lot of different studies in which people still argue with me about it, anyways. Like, you know what I mean? So it's not even every time I try to do it. Like, the studies there's so many different variables though, and so every single study that I've read, like one will say AA is like 5%, and then I read another one that's like all of the things are the same amount of effectiveness, and then after a year, and it's like this and this. There's no real way to
Right.
do it. It's just like nonsense, and so I just don't trust it. Hey guys, if you have any questions, if you have a question, please ask in the super chat to make sure it goes to the starred comments. So I'll get to it because there's so many in here. I didn't anticipate this.
Yeah.
I'll try to get to all the questions regardless, but in case we run out of time, I just wanted to say that, putting this super chat will go to the top. Most things I've seen 5%. Yeah, they always say 5%, and I know that it's like everybody keeps repeating that all the time, but it's like, where did we really like?
Yeah, I mean Yeah, I can speak. There's one other thing I'd like to say to speak to that issue. Okay,
Yeah.
so when I got when I got drawn into helping to redo the Narconon program in 2014, which I was doing in LA because David Miscavige had fled the international base because he was worried about an FBI raid, and he was worried that one of the people that he'd incarcerated, because he had incarcerated, he'd locked a bunch of his staff in these trailers and put bars in the windows. And I think he was worried one of those people was just going to freak out and like kill him or something, right? So he was now in LA at Author Services, which he used to be the head of. And that's quote unquote L. Ron Hubbard's literary agency for his fiction work, right? But it's really like a kind of this, it's a sort of secretive behind the curtain organization that really has huge power in Scientology. So now Miscavige is down in LA, and I get called down there, and he's like, "Hey, I want you and this other writer to rewrite the whole Narconon program because it's too big a liability. We need to have policies that say you can't bring drugs in. If you go home, you can't come back." They bought dog sniffing beagles for every Narconon to make sure that nobody ever. Oh yeah, they have like drug sniffing dogs at all the Narconons. Because that way they're protected. They can say, look, we did whatever we had to. We did our due diligence in preventing drugs from coming in. They did all these things to reduce the liability. They did nothing to increase the effectiveness of the program because the program is completely ineffective. But they brought in a guy. I really like this guy. I forget his name. He's the most noted attorney in the field of drug rehab. He's also like in the field of medical application, like helps hospitals and stuff. So, and this guy had helped set up a couple of rehabs, and he came in, they hired him, paid him a lot of money. And so one of the things Miscavige wanted was, he's like, we need to say a number, we need to say like 80% or something. The guy's like, you can't. This lawyer, he said, you can't, it's bullshit. He said, but I could tell you how you could do it. The way that you do that, the only way that you can claim any efficacy numbers is you must have outcome studies that are peer reviewed. Okay. Right.
Peer reviewed, eh?
No, you need, I'm serious. Like need,
but there's a lot of peer review.
Yeah. Okay. But the point is, even take that out of the, I know what you said.
I know. I'm sorry. I had to do it.
Because you can buy them like peer reviewed. What the fuck is that? No, but there are ones that are legitimate. But the point is this lawyer is saying, if you want to claim a number, you need outcome studies.
Yeah.
And Miscavige just ended the conversation because there was nothing.
He didn't even want to.
Nothing. There's never, no, he didn't even want to try. In other words, he's basically admitting that there's never been a study into the effectiveness of Narconon, and he's not interested in having one. All he's interested in is proofing up the program so they don't get sued.
Wow. I'm putting, so Narconon is what I was thinking of. It's different than, that's what I want everybody to know. It's different. Narconon is for the, it's not the same as Narconon. So when I'm going to type it in here. Narconon is for families, of those, it's like Al-Anon. It's equivalent to Al-Anon, which is, the family members of the substance user or, whatever, substance user or whatever. I lost my train of thought.
Right.
For the family of NA. So it's part of NA, right? Narcotics Anonymous.
Right. Right.
And then he's talking about how many Narconons are there? They're in other countries.
Okay. So they did this thing when we redid the program. They went around, Miscavige went around, and he, they have the International Association of Scientologists, which is their war chest. They have just millions and hundreds of millions of dollars in this organization, and they used IAS money to purchase these unbelievable facilities for Narconon. For example, there's a celebrity Narconon in Ojai, California, which used to be Larry Hagman's home. And this is like a $30 million home on top of a hilltop that they could maybe have. Wow. They have a full staff there. They could maybe have five people at a time there. I don't know that anybody's ever gone through it, but so there's one in Mexico, there's one in UK, there's one in, I don't know, somewhere in the Netherlands, there's one in Italy, there's one there's maybe 7 or 10. You could look them up. These really posh, unbelievable facilities that are just like, oh my God.
Yeah, I saw some article not too long ago about one in UK. So that's how I knew that they're in other countries, but that's wild.
Yeah, I think there might be one in, I can't remember if there's one in Ireland or if Ireland just told them to F off.
So do you believe I don't want to make over generalizations about it, but I just want to warn people about how, like you said, there might be studies we don't know about, but I don't.
No. There's no studies.
There's no
Narconon? No. I know. I went through everything. There's no studies.
Still to this day, I'm sure there's nothing, right?
Yeah, nothing's changed since 16, 15, since I worked.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay, that wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, there's no studies. They've never done any. Nobody's ever tracked these guys. Wow. Nobody's ever said, where are they at a year later? A lot of the people that leave end up, who complete the program, that small percentage that complete it, a lot of them end up just joining staff at a Narconon because they don't have any place to go.
That's what, yeah. I want to ask another question too that I never could get an answer from
okay.
that I knew, which you probably going to know. So I know, but without getting too much into the psych stuff, I understand that the medicine is a thing that they don't, the psych medicine, right? But what about someone who's coming off of alcohol or benzodiazepines that is going to need those to come off of?
Yeah, you're talking about doctor-assisted detox. That's what you're talking about.
Yeah, because you can
medical detox is what that is.
So
I'm not sure how they're handling it. I can tell you a really interesting story about that, but they may require a person to go through a medical detox before coming to do the program because they do recognize the fact that things like benzos, that they need you to be taking drugs while you get off.
You want to know what? I messaged them one day, a couple years ago, and they're like, "Yeah, we give you medication," but I was like,
"Yeah, no, I think they're fucking lying. They'll give you vitamins. They may have doctors that will come in and assist because they do understand the necessity. Okay, look,
they do.
They understand that. They don't think that's bullshit. Look, at their core." I can't tell you because I was at Gold and Gold's different. They can do shit at Gold and think they can get away with it, that they can't do at what I call the retail level of Scientology.
What's Gold for people to know?
Golden Era Productions. That's a studio that I worked for. And that's what is referred to as the international base. That it still is Golden Era Productions and they still make films for their TV station. But the all international management of Scientology used to be run from that base, and then Miscavige, he just basically parked all the international managers and got the hell out of there. And then today he runs Scientology from LA. It's a whole different thing. But I'm talking about this is an important question about the Pure. We need to get to that.
Yeah, I'll just leave it up there while you.
Yeah. So
bring it back up.
Yeah, so I can't tell you, there's a department in the Scientology organizations called the MLO's office, which is the medical liaison office. They're the ones that arrange for healthcare for staff because they don't have, you can't get help. You can't just go to a doctor if you're in the Sea Org. You have to go to the MLO's office and they have to say, well, maybe go next week because we don't have the money or something. But it has to be coordinated through what usually is a non-medically trained person. Like they don't have, Sea Org members do not have direct access to healthcare the way just a normal person would. Like,
and what's the Sea Org? The Sea Org is
the
what
Sea Org is like, it's
the
it's a
billion
group
year
of-
contract.
Yeah, it's a group of about 4,000 people who've signed a billion-year contract. They've indentured themselves to Scientology symbolically for 1 billion years, and they basically live in very restricted quarters. They don't marry outside their own. When they do marry, they're only allowed to marry by permission. The marriages are controlled. If they get pregnant, they used to be coerced into getting abortions, but today they don't do that. If you get pregnant, they just kick you the hell out with no money. And if you want to get married today, like they'll force women to get IUDs, they'll force men to get vasectomies. It's like, if you want to get married, because anyway, that's this organization.
Right.
So
I just wanted to point that out. That
because I realize there's a lot of people who would.
Well, what happens if someone in the Sea Org or someone else has a drug addiction problem and they come to them, like you said?
They wouldn't let you in the Sea Org with a drug addiction. They'd send you to Narconon.
But they would send you there, or would they just kick you out? Like, would they try to?
No, like if I went and tried to join the Sea Org, they would.
No. Say someone was in the Sea Org, or even like not. You worked for them, right? But you were still, but your staff you'd be considered.
No, I was a private contractor.
Oh, okay. So I don't know how any of that goes. But so what if like someone in the Sea Org? I know since you might not know, but you might. Would they like help them, or they just
no. If somehow a Sea Org member managed to get himself addicted to drugs while he was in the Sea Org, it depends on the value of the person.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, it completely depends. If it was a very high valued person, they would absolutely help them. If it was a schmuck and a nobody, they would get that person NDA to the max and get them the fuck out of there. Just dump them on a sidewalk with, maybe a burner phone and $200.
Yeah, that makes total sense because of everything that you hear about them. When you see like someone like Tom Cruise and like, it's not the same treatment as other, he's not
totally.
New York, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, he's not maybe the best example, but I know what you're saying. But look, so like I started having all kinds of mental, emotional problems, as you can imagine, because I went into Scientology with so much trauma that never got handled.
Yeah.
And so I was having all kinds of problems. Like after my divorce happened, I was really on the verge of a mental breakdown, and they wanted to get me in session to start auditing me. And so what did they do? They started giving me drugs. This organization that says it's against psych drugs, they were giving me benzos. They were giving me prescription sleeping pills.
What?
Because they can get away with that shit at Gold, because nothing at Gold leaves Gold.
That's
absolutely. I mean, I had more drugs from Gold than I had in the previous 30 years or something.
God damn.
I'd never taken a benzo in my fucking life until the MLO at Gold said, no, we got to give you in session. And here's the deal. It's based on when L. Ron Hubbard, he originally, when he formed the Sea Org, he formed it on ships at sea, right?
Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, which was his way of evading, detection by the authorities. Some guy went batshit crazy, had a total psychotic breakdown, and Hubbard said it's okay to give somebody a soporific. A soporific is a word which means sleeping pill, right?
Oh.
And if you read that means just to get the guy to sleep, like knock him out. If you read that, he says to give him a soporific. You interpret that as give him a sleeping pill. So then at Gold, they would justify that. I was on benzos for 6 weeks at one time. Like I had trouble getting off of them.
Hell yeah. It fucks you up.
Yeah, it fucks you up. It's like the amount of drugs I got from those guys. It was crazy. They gave me some Ambien to try to help me get to sleep. And 2 days later, I was fucking suicidal. I'm Ambien. Like, whoa, guys, you need to knock this shit off, because all I want to do nonstop is like off myself. So then they tried chloral hydrate, which is like from the 1800s, because it was a pre-psychiatric drug. And that shit, I almost died on it.
Thorazine?
No, it's called chloral hydrate. You ever heard of like a Mickey Finn, like a knockout drop?
Yeah.
That's what it's, chloral hydrate. It's what they originally, it was the first anesthetic for surgery. You take a teaspoonful of it, you're out for 2 hours.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to know what the purification is. That what it's called? Where's the?
Yeah, it's called the Purification Program. Well, the Purification Program, it's basically a sauna and nutrition-based program that is supposed to detox you. It's supposed to remove the chemical barriers to your spiritual progress. I'm giving you the PR line.
What?
Okay.
Yes.
Like I'm giving you the PR line. I'm
Okay.
not telling you what I believe.
Wait, say it one more time though. I gotta just absorb this real quick.
Okay, because I know this shit by heart, unfortunately.
No, that's
because so what it does is it removes the chemical barriers. The idea is that you have toxins in your body that you have been accumulating your entire life, and that these affect your thinking, they affect your behavior. It was originally inspired by this idea of LSD flashbacks, that LSD somehow can be stored in the fatty tissues of your body, of the cells and the fatty cell tissues, that all of this stuff is stored in fatty cell tissues. Okay, now you talk about science. This has completely been proven to be false, right?
Yeah.
The whole idea of an LSD, did you know that there's no such thing as an LSD flashback? Did you know that that's an LSD flashback?
Yeah, I've never had one. And
No, it doesn't exist. It's an urban myth.
It's
It's actually an urban myth that was created by an anti-drug group in the 60s.
Makes sense.
Like they made it up. And so basically Hubbard invented this purification rundown and used an urban myth to prove its efficacy.
Jesus Christ.
No, it is that batshit crazy. And so what you do is on this thing, and you have to get a doctor's permission because they want to make sure your heart's just not going to explode. Wow. You spend 5 hours a day in a sauna.
Wait, doctor's permission, like outside doctor or like inside?
Yeah, I mean, they're usually Scientology friendly doctors, but all they do is they give you a cursory look over, blood pressure, a little bit of blood work. No big, it's nothing.
Yeah,
right.
Okay, that's
just to make sure, like, if you have extreme hypertension, they're not going to let you do it. They want to filter out, the lawsuits, right?
Right. That's what I was asking. Sorry, I hate interrupting you. I just had to know.
No. Just hold your finger up and I'll stop. Okay. I tend to go very quickly.
No, you're good.
Okay, thanks. Yeah. So
then they have them go through this little training thing,
So here's what you do is you go in there and you drop a handful of niacin, right?
Jeez.
And then you get on a treadmill or you run until you're like sweaty and you start to flush from the niacin. It gives you a flush. And then you hop in the sauna and you can come out whenever you want. You can take a shower. There's a bunch of components to it. It's a really strict regimen. And you are starting to take almost toxic levels of some vitamins. I mean, to me, it's amazing that more people haven't died. I don't know anybody who died during the Puro. Somebody just asked that question. And I don't know anybody who got really sick. To me, and I don't want to downgrade or make excuses about the Puro, but for me, the Puro is mostly this huge, boring waste of time. Like for me, that's what it was. I mean, you're exercising every day and you're sitting in a sauna. That feels kind of good. It's a little like a spa day. 5 hours is a bit much. I mean, I could spend an hour doing that, but 5 hours is a little bit much.
Oh.
So, but that's basically what it is. And so what happens is you take this niacin.
Uh-huh.
Oh my God. Don Lambert said it was 6 hours in the 60s. I never knew that. That's insane.
That's wild. And then
somebody said, okay, Betsy Sue just called me. Betsy said, put that back up if you don't mind.
Betsy. Oh, right here.
Yeah. She said, I thought niacin is bad for the liver. I've read a lot I can't find anything about that. I'm not, again, I don't want to sound like
well, you're not a doctor, so disclaimer.
No, but I looked on the internet. I looked not at articles that have advertisements in it, but actually from the National Board of Health or whatever. I looked and I couldn't find anything about that. I mean, you can overdose on anything. And so what you do is you take this niacin, and when you stop having a reaction to it, they say you're done. And you're so fucking glad to be done with the thing that you're like high as a kite. Just the fact that you're done, you're like, yay, I'm done. It's like this confirmation bias, right?
How many days do you have to do it though?
Average, I would say 30 days.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, every day you have to arrange your schedule.
there's that.
The last time I did it in 2016, I think.
You did.
And I didn't want, huh?
You did it for 30 days?
Oh no, that one, I think it went on for 70 days.
Are you kidding? How can
I didn't give a shit. I didn't give a shit because at the time it was my job to do the Purif. So I was like,
holy
no,
shit.
because what happened was there was this guy, Dan Sherman, who died a couple of years ago. He was the official L. Ron Hubbard biographer. He was a friend of mine for a while. And Danny, as we referred to him, a lot of people I'm sure in the chat know who I'm talking about. But Danny had very bad arthritis, and as a result of that, he got himself strung out on opioids. But he got himself strung out on opioids to the point where he was like, I ain't sick anymore. I'm an opioid addict. Like, it was, you know what I'm saying? Like, and so eventually, this guy, they pump him full of steroids and opiates, and he'd go on a freaking stage and talk to Scientologists. The Scientologists don't know this. They're like, listen to Danny, and then they fork over money. The guy's a fucking drug addict, right? And so eventually and he was psychotic. He was like waving, guns at staff members, and like, he was nuts, right? And so,
wow.
So eventually Miscavige put his foot down and he said, that's it. We're going to get Danny off of drugs. And so then they told me, hey, you're friends with him. You guys are going to do the Purif together because you have to do it with another person. And they couldn't let anybody know that Danny was doing the Purif because it was just like a PR thing, right? Like they didn't want him at some org because they thought, what if he loses his shit and brings a gun in one day or something?
Well, that makes
sense. They went and rented like a rock star house in the Hollywood Hills with a view of the Pacific Ocean, and they put a sauna in there, and we went, yeah.
Sounds like a money making idea, though. If I were to,
what's that?
I said, sounds like a great money making idea. If I wanted to take all the risk of hurting people. That's crazy.
yeah. So yeah, Danny and I did this Purif in this, rock star home, and it was just crazy. I mean, they do shit like that, when I was trying to get the fuck out of Scientology, I hurt myself really bad. It's a whole other story. Wow. Like, I literally hurt myself because I was trying to get disqualified from ever being allowed to work on any of their property, right? And
say that one more time. You said you were trying. Say that again.
Well, I was trying to get myself, like, if you've ever like self-harmed.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's just
they're not going to let you on their property.
Yeah, that's what
I hadn't slept in like weeks, and I was completely psychotic, and I did something, But
that's how much you didn't want to. That's what the point I'm trying to get.
Oh yeah, I got to the point where I'd rather be dead. Yeah. And if you want to read all about it in great detail and what I think some observations that could help people who are suffering from that kind of stuff, read my book because it's in there. So, and I'm not shamelessly plugging it. I'm trying to help people because that's why I wrote it. Okay, I wrote it for two reasons. We can talk about that later. Yeah. But yeah. So yeah, I mean so they grabbed me in that situation and. They got me to one of their doctors, like a Scientologist, got me all fixed up. And then they parked my ass at a freaking beach house in Malibu for like $8,000 a week with 3 staff members, like keeping me there until I chilled out because they didn't want, David Miscavige to know. And they didn't want the public to know that, you know what I'm saying? So like, and they pay their staff nothing. They don't even have fucking money for them to go to the doctor. But if, Mitch Brisker hurts himself because he wants to get the fuck out of there, they'll go rent, a luxury beach house. I'll send you pictures of this house. It was insane.
But why is it that did you know too much, or what was it that they?
No. I mean, some people thought, oh man,
Well, tell them what you did. Actually, I forgot.
What I did?
You said Golden Era Productions,
yeah,
right?
I was essentially I was a film director and writer. And then I also did some other things. I designed advertising campaigns and PR and did all kinds of crazy shit.
So you filmed all those movies.
Well, no, here's what happened. They're not movies. We don't call them movies. We call them films. I know it's really bougie. I know we're really Miscavige is really snooty about it. Like if you called one of those a film, you could get in trouble. I mean, a movie. It's not a movie. Movie's like a popcorn thing. You get it? They have weird fucking ideas about shit.
Oh, I could tell.
Yeah, it's really weird ideas. So, but anyway, what happened was in 1963, Hubbard started messing around with audio video tools to teach Scientology, right? Mm-hmm. Which is pretty, I mean, every school in the world had audiovisual tools, so it was not like he was some genius about that. But he made this declaration that Scientology wasn't going to survive, it wasn't going to expand if they didn't have films to teach people how to do auditing, because you couldn't learn it unless you could see it. And they were never able to pull this off. They tried for years and years and years. They made some horrible films. They kept failing at it, and it was a huge problem for it. And so it's a long story how they found out about me, but I was a celebrity center and I was a commercial director. So then they tapped me to come up there and do a film. So I solved this problem for them. Like there was 26 of these films and I ended up doing them all. So,
here, we'll wait for you, sweetheart. I'll answer.
Yeah.
Actually, we might not get to that comment because we do the super chats first here. Anyways, okay. So what is so you did all that, and then is that kind of why you're a contractor?
Yeah, I mean, I was a public Scientologist, but
you're okay.
Yeah, I'm still a Scientologist, but I'm, basically the first film I went up there to do, I wasn't expecting to be paid.
Wait,
I was just going.
Wait, say that again. You said you're now still you're not still.
No. Oh. At the time.
Okay, I was like, what are you talking about?
No. I'm projecting in my mind. I think like a movie. Fade in. I'm a Scientologist. Flashback. I'm a Scientologist. Yeah, because unfortunately, I think too much. Like it's a screenplay.
No, I talk like that.
So okay, cool. No, I expected to volunteer for the first film that I did.
Wow. Well, we're gonna.
So what happened? I'm sorry, I got distracted by something.
I know. Don't look at that.
People in the chat. Look, anybody in there like Liz Gale. You have my email number. If you want to give me some advice, please. I consider you a friend. Just write me. This is not the place to do it.
Yeah, we can talk about that. We're gonna do questions and stuff as soon as I'm done. But this is, I want to do this for my viewers because he has experience. He literally knows of this program that is, I would allegedly dangerous, right?
Yeah, no, it is. One of the reasons why it's so dangerous is it's a gatekeeper to Scientology. You have to do it now, and I'm telling you now, not why it's physically dangerous, but why it's psychologically dangerous, because it's a gatekeeper. In other words, it's one of the two fundamental programs you have to go through in order to do it, and you are indoctrinated into believing that you have had this great improvement. And come on, you just spent a month jogging for 20 minutes and hanging out in the sun. So you likely may feel better if the vitamins didn't have a deleterious effect on you. So it's the fact that it solidly puts you on this path of believing you're on your way towards spiritual betterment. And this is a very dangerous thing because it plants you right there. Like I did the Pura. My body is now, the veil of chemicals that were holding me back is gone. And so you're gaslit into believing this. And it's a really dangerous thing.
That's crazy.
Not to mention you've oriented your entire schedule around doing it. And so you've also freed up more time to interact. I'm going to do one thing real quick.
Okay, cool. And then you want to do super chats after?
Yeah, I'm going to let my dog in the room because he's starting to cry. So
yeah. Hey guys, is everybody chilled on? Where are the attacks coming?
I think he's just missing his papa. He wants to hang out and sit down next to me, but hopefully he doesn't have to take a poop or something. Okay, good. So that's what I just really, really wanted to get that out to people, because people do not know that Scientology has anything to do with it. And a lot of the public now does know from people doing activism or people that were talking out about it. So they know that this organization can be dangerous. I mean, you're talking Narconon right now, right?
Yeah, because just Scientology in general, because now people are seeing that. And I don't think that they know, a lot of people know it's associated with Narconon. I've had people say to me, hey, I went to this fucking crazy Scientology program called Narconon. And they're like, the one guy said, as soon as I found it was a Scientology program, I called my dad and said, get me the fuck out of here. That's literally what he said.
Yeah, no, and there, like, there's a film when you first go to Narconon. Okay, first let me just say, Narconon costs about $30,000, except
What?
yeah, it's about 30 grand, and except for the one at Ojai, which I think is like 45 or 50 grand, the super duper celebrity one. They're
30 days
sorry,
for 30 days.
yeah, well, no, they don't. There's no time limit on it. They
Really?
just yeah, that's the one thing they do. They want a lot of money up front, but
Don't get distracted. You're good. Don't read that bullshit yet.
yeah, no shit. Yeah, but they usually, yeah, it's not like, your insurance runs out and they kick you out. It's like the Purif, you pay whatever it is. I don't know what it costs now. I guess the Purif is about $2,500, and maybe it's more than that. Somebody could find
That's
out, but
wild.
you just do it for as long as you do it, and they don't charge you any more money, except if you're not finishing it. Like if you're, as they say, bugged, they might require you to get some auditing, and they're going to charge you for that.
What's
Bug? Bugged is a word out of the technology era, which just means, like a computer bug.
Yeah.
It's got a bug in it. It's bugged.
Interesting.
Yeah, you've heard that term, I'm sure. But they use it a lot in Scientology.
You want to answer some questions?
Do I? Yeah, always. Yeah, sure.
Well, this isn't a question.
But there's one thing, Lindsay, if I could just say, because
yes. Oh yeah.
We skipped over something.
What?
Right?
How come I can't pull these back down? Sorry, I'm trying to.
Because I love questions to start with. I'm not trying to be antagonistic because here it comes.
What? No, you can say whatever the hell you want.
No, not me. Question. There's a question that started with. It's like saying, "With all due respect," you're like, "Oh, here it comes."
Oh, I get what you're saying. Yeah,
I'm about to be clobbered. Anyway, somebody wanted to know about the Purif. Is it used in Narconon? And it is, but it's called the Narconon drug detox.
Weird.
Yeah, they just give it a different name. Now, when I was at Golden Productions, there's a film, a half-hour film that teaches you how to do the Purif as what they call a student. And then you watch this film before you do it. We made that film twice. We made a Scientology version and we made a Narconon version. So, and it's the same film.
Wow.
Yeah, except the Narconon one, they were in Narconon uniforms, and it says Narconon on the walls, but it's the same film. Like, it's identical. Like the purification program is the cornerstone.
Not trying to distract you. I was just putting it up.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah, so it's the cornerstone of the Narconon program. It's the Purif. That's the first thing you got to do. So
I have so much that I could learn from you about this, because it is so important. Just like my community is like, the thing is, like, parents and loved ones, they have a hard enough time trying to get their family member, their spouse, into treatment at all. And
right.
They don't really understand as it's not a logical thing. Addiction is not logical. So my heart really goes out to family trying to put their family in treatment and help out, because let's face it, we're not able to always do that ourselves and get us into a place.
No,
I was able to, but just barely, and so without going on and saying everything, I have videos about like the Florida Shuffle and everything like that. There is a lot of programs that you have to be aware of. And so this one may look good. So I'm just saying, like, I mean, Scientology is probably going to love me saying that.
I hope so.
I hope so. But like, stay away from it because it's dangerous.
Yeah. I mean, Narconon, it's a total scam.
Allegedly.
Yeah, it's a total scam. I mean, if you're taking a loved one in Narconon, the first thing you have to know, they're going to be treated by people who have went through the program 15 minutes ago themselves and have absolutely no training.
That's what
they're not going to be encountering addiction specialists. There's a packet of things. You do the Purif, then you do these Scientology, they're called objective processes, where you guide someone around a room and you say, look at that wall, Thank you. Walk over that wall, touch that
heard
wall.
that too. What the
Yeah, the idea is you're supposed to pull a person's, like, that their attention is all stuck in the past. So now you're going to move their attention into the present. Okay, let's just stop and say this one thing.
Yeah.
What about the few people that do get through Narconon and they actually stop using drugs? I mean, this happens. And the reason is, and I'm going to say it again.
I know why. Yeah. Go.
Yeah, I know you know it, because it does have a structure. And
Yeah.
it's a place to go everywhere. And everybody is telling you don't do drugs. And there's a drug sniffing beagle that's going to bite your ass if you try to. I'm serious. I have a beagle. I like beagles.
It's just so specific. Like,
I know. No. Beagles are very coveted in the area of drug detection.
I had a puggle. Wait. What's a puggle? Beagle? Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's totally fine. Anyway, so what I did this ad campaign for Narconon, and I talked about. I did this commercial, right? I did this commercial for Narconon, and it basically says that it talks about becoming connected to things, right? Mm-hmm. Connected to your life, and it shows somebody becoming connected to their life, connected to their family, connected. This was based on research that I did, which has nothing to do with Scientology. So much of the work I did was work that I did that I took from other sources, right? But the punchline of this ad says that Narconon will help you become connected to the most important thing, which is yourself, right? Now, I'm sorry that I wasted that line on Narconon because it's a really good line, and I wish I would have sold it to somebody else. But my point is, some people will become reconnected to their families, will become reconnected to a sense of purpose because that's what they want to do. So it sort of accounts for the very small percentage of people that walk away. So I'm telling you, if you have a loved one who is an addict, who's having a substance abuse problem, don't look at Narconon, but look for those qualities. Look for the kind of a place that would help that individual to have structure and community and to reconnect with maybe who they were before they were abusing substances. Because I know one thing you and I agree on, well, we agree on a lot of things, but one thing, connection is
the opposite of addiction.
Yeah, exactly. And that was, there's a guy, I don't know, he did a TED Talk, he's a writer, he's an English guy.
Yeah.
And we all know that, right?
Yeah.
So I took that and I turned it into an ad, right?
Really?
Yeah, that idea, which is why I had the punchline was, you know, you're going to be, you need to reconnect with the most important thing in life, which is yourself. Because you know, when you're an addict, you become really disconnected from yourself.
Wow.
So, but that's something you would look for. You would look for a place that you felt a person could find that and experience that. And it's just like a few people do experience it at Narconon randomly, but very few. It's just going to happen.
I have the theory that because there's a lot of people that get sober without anything, and like I think it's called like spontaneous recovery. Scott, you know, he's in the chat. But we can no, all the hey, creeps beware. They're all there. We're not getting to them yet. This isn't about you right now, okay?
Yeah, we haven't even gotten to the good stuff. So.
How many wrongful death suits is Narconon involved in? I don't know.
I don't know, Liz. That's Liz Gale asked that question. I don't know. I mean, I know the 4 from when I was asked to work on the program because of the wrongful death suits. There were 4, and I think there were some before then, and there could be some after that. But there were 4 really serious ones back around 2014 to 2016, rising out of Oklahoma.
No messages are disappearing. I can see all of them. Stop being weird. Okay, this is interesting. Does every little detail have to pass the scrutiny to David Miscavige? Like all those programs you did, especially.
Yeah, I was meeting with him daily on that. But it's not just that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's, you know, right down to the soap in the guest rooms at the luxury hotel in Florida. I mean, he's going to see everything. Like he's like such a micromanager. It's just not even. And then the guy has no taste. So unless somebody has informed him in a book or an expert or somebody has informed him of what's actually tasteful, then he's not going to get it, because he literally, he turned the cigarette when he was like 13 years old. He's never been in the real world. He doesn't have any freaking taste, and he just mirrors his friend Tom Cruise. I mean, look,
Why
just
is he so violent? Well, that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother day.
because he's broken, he's hurt, and hurt people hurt people. Somebody hurt him.
Best explanation I've heard.
Yeah, but it doesn't excuse him at all.
No, fuck no. That's the thing too. It's like, so we were talking about earlier, before we get to the people getting a little rowdy on there. Let's what because I'm not doing I'm
Hey Lindsay,
yeah.
I think
We're
Catherine Olsen has come up with your new catchphrase.
where is it? Oh, stop
Being weird.
I literally can't help it. It's like
No,
stop being weird,
don't help it.
guys.
Don't help it.
I can't stop saying that. Shit, what was I saying? They're
Not
like
sure.
It's probably the same person saying that. Okay. I'm not gonna look at those yet. But fuck, what was I gonna say? God damn it. You know what?
You know, while you're thinking of it, put up a Noam Sain's question about what's the obsession with unscented soaps.
Where's it say that?
There's one, it's from 410. No, it's from
There. Oh, wait. So unscented soaps. So the allergies or something, maybe?
No, it's really bizarre. Hubbard wrote some policy about scented soaps that they were basically invented by psychiatrists.
Stop it.
To trigger negative emotions in your mind. There is some psychology behind that. Like there's some psychology that like the department stores use to pump in the smell of there's some, but he's talking about like, no man, the wrong soap can fuck you up. No, it's really strange. It's weird. I wrote about this in my book about the first time I went to in the classroom at Gold, and all I could smell was cigarettes and body odor because nobody uses scented deodorants. You know, and it was just kind of disgusting. I'm like,
that's totally disgusting.
I used to joke that if you wanted to take the international Scientology base, if you wanted to take it out, all you'd have, it's in an agricultural area, so you can rent a crop duster really cheap. All you'd have to do is rent a crop duster and fill the tanks full of cheap perfume and fly over and just spray it, and they'd all go insane.
Oh my God. Like mentally, probably.
Yeah, it's a very bizarre thing. I mean, there's a lot of artificial scents I don't like.
Yeah,
but I'm not going to go like batshit crazy because my clothes got washed.
Oh wait, it's in the fragrances bulletin. Interesting.
There's a bulletin. Catherine Olsen is. Thank you. She's pointing out there's a bulletin which would be an official Hubbard issue.
Yeah,
and it's called Fragrances.
Weird.
Yeah, it's a weird culture.
Is that true? 4 rinses for his laundry?
Oh, I would think at least 4 rinses by hand in fresh water, like each time.
Why didn't he just buy new clothes if he has so much monies?
Okay, listen. When I went to Gold in 1990, that's a good question, but I can't answer that.
I know.
When I went to Gold in 1990, right? Mm-hmm. They have a house. They still have a house devoted to Hubbard because they think he's coming back. And
I know. Yeah.
All of his wardrobe that he had at his time of his death, it's all there and being preserved. And they still washing it like weekly and rinsing it 4 times. Like I saw this happening. It's like a weird ritual. It's like there was this cult in New Guinea called the Cult of the Cargo. And when World War II people landed there, and then, after the war, they didn't need that area anymore. They worshiped these people, hoping they would come back and bring like new technology, right? It's called the cargo cult. You could read about it on Wikipedia. Wow. These people at Gold, they're like the cargo cult, worshiping L. Ron Hubbard, washing his clothes like it's a ritual they're hoping will bring him back. Dude, how is he even going to be the same size? He was like a tall, fat guy. Like, how is he going to even wear the same fucking clothes? And he was
anyway. Huh? He was a big.
Yeah, he's a big guy. He's a big guy. So he had big, long fingers and thick.
Well, I could get so off on this, Highland. Okay. Let's do. I don't want to go into. I want to go back to this, but I want to do the other ones first.
Yeah, go ahead.
Maria said, "Thank you for addressing these issues. Mitch's vocabulary is great, by the way."
I'm sorry. Sometimes I get criticized for being a little too pedantic, but
what does that mean?
It means like bookish, like too like.
See,
using you. Yeah, I just did it. Like using inaccessible language.
I'm just
Oh,
messing.
oh
Okay.
yes. Thanks. Good. You got me. A good job. That's not easy to do.
Okay, and then we did read that the Purif was 2,500 when I did it in the 80s by stealing.
Yeah, so it's got to be at least $5,000 now.
That's wild. Okay, and then so I am not she or he. Sorry, I don't know.
Right, they. You can say they.
True. They said in the thing that they're trying not to be antagonistic. This is a genuine question that they have. So in another chat they said that. So there's a lot of chatter online about Mitch stating there are no children in the Sea Org. I just wonder if you might clarify. Appreciate this talk.
Yeah, let me clarify that for you. There's no children in the Sea Org. No, look, I'm not gonna be like that. Okay, so to the best of my knowledge, and I was specifically referring to young children, and I clarified this with Karen. I spoke to Karen de la Carriere the other day, because I know as of 1990, when I went to Gold, there was no more babies being born. I knew the kids at the ranch. There were no babies at the ranch. There were no new kids. She said the last baby was probably born in 1985. So that person is like about 40 now, right? So, and I knew two couples at Gold that got pregnant and they were kicked out, right? I knew one girl up there when I first went up there who broke down crying in front of me one day. She was somebody from a high up organization that was helping me get settled in. We became friends. She started crying one day about the 5 abortions she's had. And I was like, how does that happen? And then I found out later she had 5 abortions because she kept being coerced to abort. So, I would see these things. I didn't fully understand them. Literally, I was so brainwashed. I thought, well, maybe that's a little irresponsible getting yourself pregnant 5 times. But I'm like, no, that's not right. That was just really messed up. So that's what I was referring to when I said there's no children in the Sea Org.
It's not allowed to be anymore, right? Isn't this like a common knowledge thing that like they?
Well, but there's this whole thing going on about children in hotels being abused, and I'm like, wait a minute. No, there's elder people being abused. They're being warehoused. Their money's being taken from them. There's human trafficking. There's financial abuse. So why are we talking about something that happened 20 years ago? Look, if your trauma happened 20 years ago and you want to talk about it, talk about it. Please, if you want to bring the authorities in, bring them, please. You have a right to do that. I'll help you do that. But let's not turn the conversation so much about something that happened a long time ago that the people that are the crimes that are happening in real time, the elder abuse, the financial abuse, the human trafficking, that stuff gets lost in the mix. Like the attention is taken off of that. That's my point about all that stuff. Now, I was on with Dodge Landisman the other day, and he said he saw teenagers doing setups at the setting up the stage at Austin, right, for the opening there. And I said, well, were they in Sea Org uniforms? And he said, no, they were just kind of in grubby clothes. And I thought, okay, they could be the kids volunteering like the children of Scientologists, like teenage children. To the best of my knowledge, because of what I saw at Gold, Miscavige was like, no, I don't want anybody in the Sea Org who's under 18, because then I got to get them a caretaker and I got to get them educated, and it's too big a problem. It was such a problem for them that he just put a ban on it, first on babies, then on anybody under 18. So I'm just saying, are you 14? You shouldn't be here.
We'll talk about that in a second. Calm down.
So to the best of my knowledge, look, if there's teenagers in the Sea Org that I don't know about, I will apologize for making that statement.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask you.
And I will gladly accept the truth on that. I'm only speaking from my experience, and some of it is direct communication with David Miscavige. I was there the day. He told me, I'm getting the RPF out of here. It just looks bad. Like, sure, they find other ways to punish people, but when things become a big problem for them, legally, they will make changes. Like, he stopped having babies and then stopped coercing abortions. I mean, sure, and today, they pressure women into getting IUDs and all kinds of crazy anti, what would you call it? Your whatever.
I want to say one thing though, is what I'm understanding is that people are like your experience or what you heard is they're saying you're wrong, but
I don't really understand. I don't know. I don't understand. I mean, I know
act for that, for not known that.
Yeah. I mean, I know I was audited by a 14-year-old girl
Oh yeah, what is?
with Marty Rathbun screaming obscenities into her ear. So I was made to witness the verbal sexual abuse of a 14-year-old girl, of which I wrote about, of which I've gone to the authorities about, of which I've spoken about in the media. So you can't,
Good for
you
you.
know, you can just, if you want to impugn me for that. But the thing is that Nora made kind of a big deal about this the other day on a, I don't know, but
It's
I feel sorry. I mean, I don't feel sorry for her, but I have empathy for her because I know she's really speaking from a lot of pain. And I wish she would just have a conversation with me. But Nora knows how difficult, you can't leave an auditing session. You are trapped. You are captive. You can't, the auditor is sitting between you and the doorway. And you might say, yeah, but that was a 14-year-old girl. You could have gotten by her. But there was closed circuit cameras on that sec check, and there were people right outside the door. If I had made a break for it, I would have been dragged right back in that room and slammed back in. I was literally captive while this 14-year-old girl is, I can hear Marty in her earpiece screaming obscenities, obscene questions to ask me, a grown man. And so and half of the trauma for me was seeing this happen to her. And yet then these people are like, you're not a victim, you're an abuser. I mean, I think Nora went so far as to imply that I'm a pedophile, for which she could be sued for libel. And I could have her entire YouTube operation shut down. You cannot do that on a public, on a social media platform. You cannot accuse somebody of being a pedophile without having publicly, without having some kind of, like, it's like the same thing that Marilyn did when she accused me of being like Ted Bundy. Sorry, I'm just
I know it's a lot at one time, but so that we can explain further. So let me look at the other chats.
Sure.
Nobody's being deleted. Why? What are these people saying? There's so many messages. Look, wait, I just saw hers.
Yeah, I mean, there might be. Yeah.
What is happening? This is a huge deal. You should be confirming that 14-year-old girls are getting essayed and not making. He's not making.
How am I minimizing this?
So, what is very bizarre is that it seems to me that there's a lot of victims here, and it seems to me that.
Yeah, I don't understand this at all. I mean, for one thing, I'm talking about something that happened.
No, but that was something that happened to you, and I don't understand how you can sit there and say that you're responsible for something when you were under that control of that. So you're responsible for what you did, then, Liz Gale.
No, yeah, Liz, I consider you a friend, but hey, you were
everybody.
Yeah, like whose trauma are we like gonna?
Are we measuring?
We're trying to. Yeah, we're like, we got to scale her. I mean, here's the deal. So I was put into a sec check, and Liz, you know how difficult it is to get out of a sec check. You're just not going to walk out of the room. In my case, I had security standing outside the door. I had Marty Rathbun watching through on a closed circuit camera. I was held captive in that auditing session. So, but then somehow I'm like,
they're just trying to push you, man.
Yeah, like I just don't get it. Like this is like,
you won't get it because it doesn't make sense. Just like the shit.
It doesn't make sense at all. I mean, Liz, I wish you would connect with me on this and we could actually discuss this. Because I thought we were on the same team. And
this is a show for them to come on here and say this when they know, if they know you and they're your friend, they know. And I'd like to know what this person, what they did with her, what she did when she was in there.
I don't know. I mean, I think. I mean, no, I don't know Liz that well, but I mean, I respect her.
I'm just saying. What I'm saying is that it's not cool to, you're sitting. Yeah, she is abusive. Obviously, that is abusive. Allegedly. Yeah. And it's not about her, but it's just like that is a disingenuous art. If you really wanted to talk about it, we could talk about it, and we could make it a actual discussion. But you're trying to trap him into something and saying something, and it's
I don't understand what I did to minimize it. I mean, here's the deal.
You didn't.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, here's the deal, Liz. The only reason you know about this to criticize me is because I blew the whistle on it. So
you did?
Yeah, I did in my book. I did in the media. I did to the FBI. Like I blew the whistle on what happened.
You were the one that did that?
No. I don't mean the original one, but I blew the whistle on what happened to me. I added my voice Okay. I added my voice to the chorus of people. I helped to confirm that this was going on. Okay.
Yeah. So
So
I
it's,
feel like
I mean, it's just like, everybody needs forgiveness, right? What you need to do is, if you're in a situation like I was in,
you you didn't. The thing is, it's perpetuating the abuse that you were abused before, and they know it. They're
yeah, I think
trying
you're
to
right. I don't know what, I don't get it. So this is the whole thing I don't get. This leads me into the subject of the normalization of emotional abuse,
there you go.
because all of these people, me, Liz, Serge, Aaron, all these people, we were all indoctrinated to accept emotional abuse, a certain level of emotional abuse, as a normal operating basis in our lives. And then when we leave Scientology, we're just stuck in that. And we look for enemies and we accuse people of things and we trauma shame, unless you really do the work. Because you and I have talked about this. The hardest thing, it's so easy to look at that narcissist or that cult leader and say that's what's wrong. But the hardest thing is to really do the self-examination, to tear yourself apart and to realize that you are stuck in a kind of a cycle when you start to accuse other people of things, and it's because of indoctrination.
Don't don't listen to that. That's you know, the thing is, it's like those statements, when you say false statements like that or something that you don't know, and you're saying that about someone, that just opens up the door for no one to believe you when you start saying that about other people.
Yeah, and it creates, and I've pointed this out before. What
And
it
you're
does
forgiving
is,
too, for other people to
yeah,
do it to you. You open
yeah,
up.
it creates an atmosphere where people don't want to speak out
Yeah.
because they see, oh yeah, he spoke out and he got attacked. There's a really famous guy who spoke out against the tobacco industry.
Mhm.
They made that movie about the guy and blah blah blah, and nobody went, "You're a bad person because you work for the tobacco company." They were like, "Wow, this is great. This guy couldn't take it anymore and he left, so he's a good guy."
Right.
That's a normal human reaction. A toxic, narcissistic, uh, abusive, sociopathic reaction would be to not even recognize that what you did was wrong.
Well,
So,
yeah, the thing is though, so like everybody has trauma that's in a cult, period. I wasn't in a traditional cult like that. Um, what I see is that maybe that it's unhealed trauma and then they're attacking each other, trying to say like my abuse is worse, your
yeah,
abuse
it's
is
weird.
worse. And you guys, that's really sick. And that's kind of, it makes sense though, because I assume that's what they were conditioned, you know? I mean, from everything that you're saying, and everything I've heard, everything that's Aaron said, this is how it goes, right? Like when you're
Yeah, I mean, we could do an entire stream on the normalization of emotional abuse in cults and
you should know
in
though.
abusive relationships, because it's very similar. But
Yeah.
and it's something that's rampant out there, and people are blind to it. And I've yeah. Thank you,
That's what
Catherine.
it is. It's not legitimate things. It's attack, attack, attack. Because just like they're going on and on and on attacking you, and that's the thing.
Yeah, I mean, look,
You,
I'm going to get in trouble for saying this, but SPTV, you got to take your trash out. I'm sorry.
you mean all of them?
They, whoever they are, I'm not part of them. I support the basic concept, but
Allegedly.
they need to clean that shit up, because this is like insane. What's going on? That people could say things like, like that, like I'm minimizing. How am I minimizing it?
Well, they don't know. They've never been to therapy or actually probably.
No, that's not true. I think Liz has done a lot of therapy. I have a lot of respect for her. I'm not
Well,
down
I
on
don't
her.
understand
I
why.
read her book. I interviewed her on my channel. I think she's great. I think she's hanging out with the wrong people. Okay, that's what I think.
Oh, this person think that she was disagreeing. She was.
I don't think so. That's saying that you're minimizing sexual abuse. I mean, yes, she wasn't saying I'm a. Yeah, that's a kind of a.
The thing is, it's like you guys.
That's a distinction without differentiation, if you want my opinion.
And this, we knew that this was going to happen, and it sucks. And he wanted to address certain things, and I wanted him to address certain things. But you guys aren't being. You're being disingenuous about this, and you're not. Coming from a fair place, talking about, if you really wanted to have a discussion, you don't attack. And that is like
Yeah.
communication, period, how it works. And I know, like, I
Yeah.
just, and I'm getting the brunt of it from you guys too. And you never had a conversation with me. Never.
Yeah, thank you. Somebody brought up the fact that how could I say there's no children if I was audited by
That
a
doesn't even make
14-year-old person?
sense.
I'm saying there's no, I'm saying today. I'm not saying this was like 20 years ago when this happened. I'm saying today, I don't believe
That he said there's
yeah.
he had to leave the Sea Org. So what is so controversial about that? They're just
Yeah, and I'm talking about in the Sea Org. There's certainly plenty of underage kids, the children of Scientologists, that are taking courses at Scientology organizations, and they're being subjected to bull baiting, which is of a highly sexual, verbal nature, and they're being, they're learning to audit and auditing adults. There's a lot of that goes on with public Scientologists. I'm just talking about in the Sea Org. I mean, the two girls I know who were born into the Sea Org that are still in the Sea Org, they're in their 40s. And they were a couple of the last people born in the Sea Org.
But the thing is, like, literally, like, this has been stated. I've heard Aaron say this over and over and over and over again.
Say what? What I just said?
Yeah, about, he talks about it every time he tells his story. And he told me all about it, about how the forced abortions and they would just keep doing it. They would get on a bus and they would take them there.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then he said, when they got pregnant, then he said, well, it was a blessing. We could get out and then they were.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to talk about him more, but I'm just trying to say, like,
yeah.
Like, how can you argue when he's saying the same exact thing? It's just very strange.
Yeah. But to really be clear, I'm making a distinction between now and present time, when some people are making a big deal about children in hotels, and what happened to me, which was probably 20 years ago when that happened.
What's a testing center?
Oh my God, this guy, somebody just said I could have walked out of an auditing session. You don't know what it's like, when you have guards standing outside the door. And plus, if you do walk out of that auditing session, you're going to lose your career. You're going to lose your family. You're going to lose everything. That's just such a bullshit thing to say.
I know they know.
You could have walked out. You could have walked out. Anyway, okay, calm me down here. I didn't want to get worked up about this shit.
No, it's okay because they know. They know the truth.
Okay.
They watch dipshit. They know. Less than a week ago, I with my own eyes have seen children, preteen and teen in Sea Org uniform at Pack Base and Hollywood Testing Center.
Okay, well, if
January, the thing is, has he?
If that's true, then I apologize. But at the same time,
you didn't see that.
Yeah, I know, but if it's true, because I made a statement that there's no more children, meaning under 21 in the Sea Org. If there is, then I stand corrected. Okay, but at the same time, I would want to see ID and pictures, because I specifically heard Miscavige talking about the fact that he didn't want underage kids in the Sea Org anymore because it's too big a liability.
Yes, guys, exactly. You see what he's saying? So he's saying this is his experience and this is what he's told by that man. Do you think that man is going to even tell him the truth if there's otherwise? Like, this is just kind of like trying to
well, I don't understand this question anyway about the test center, because the test center has been closed down. So a uniform at Pack Base in Hollywood.
Maybe they were just walking by.
I go by there all the time. I've never seen teenagers, and I'm not trying. Listen, I want to read.
Hold on, I don't want you to get upset, but these people are just trying to. These are not real arguments that you can use.
Yeah, but the thing that I want to say is the reason that I'm bringing this up is because I want the attention put on the elder abuse, and I want the attention put on the trafficking, and I want the attention put on the financial crimes, because these are the things that are happening in real time. These are real crimes.
But you're not discounting anybody else's experience. So
no, if they saw teenagers and that's a fact, then I'm apologizing for saying that.
No, but the thing is, you only speak from your own experience and what you've seen and heard. You aren't the arbiter of truth with Scientology, and you guys.
Yeah, right.
If this is something that someone happened to. This is how life works when you have a conversation with someone.
And please, if that commenter could put a link in the chat to one of those videos, I would be happy to watch a video that shows teenagers walking around in Sea Org uniforms.
Right, and that's why it's kind of bad faith that you guys wouldn't try to explain to him, like, hey, I've seen this. Like, well, shit, maybe you could talk about this, or maybe this is, So that's why it's like bad faith. It's
I'm willing to be wrong. So 100%. I'm looking for my note. I had some notes here. I kind of lost them. So.
Well, don't get too much into this bullshit. Hold on.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's read. Mitch, why do you think someone feel? This is what I would like to know too. Mitch, why do you think some people feel that they have the right to control you and are always picking apart everything you say? Is it because you're older?
I think no, I don't think it's because I'm older. Because for one thing, yeah, I am older, and I won't challenge you to a arm wrestling contest. But in terms of mental acuity and the ability to reason and argue, I'll challenge any of you anytime. Because I might be older, but my mind is still sharp as a tack. I mean, I wrote a well-reviewed 437-page book in 7 months, and a lot of people have never pulled that up. But anyway, well, that's not a good answer. The answer is because I had a certain. Okay, look, the people that are attacking me.
Hold on, slow down, so you don't miss anything.
Okay, so
say it.
All of us experience the same Scientology because there's only one Scientology.
Right.
But many of us experienced it differently. The Scientology you experience at what I call the retail level, which is like ASHO, AO, Celebrity Center, where they deliver it to the public and where the staff are involved in this kind of 3-card Monty that's aimed at selling fake counseling to the public. The way they see Scientology is different than those of us at the international base saw it. We have a bit of a different experience because we weren't delivering to the public. I don't know, the best way I could think of it is those guys are on the front lines of tricking people into Scientology. And I was like in a B-52 dropping leaflets to help train them how to do it. It's a very different experience.
There's no people there.
What's that?
It's almost like there's no innocent people that can point to others.
Yeah, but so when these people, the ones who worked at the retail level, when they hear my experience and they think he was paid, he didn't sign a contract, his experience was different, he's friends with Mike Rinder or whatever, they're like, get out of here, Mitch, sit down.
It doesn't matter. That's what I'm saying. So that's like where it goes back to people discounting what you've been through in your experience. What is trauma doesn't mean, oh, I was treated worse by this David Savage person in this, so I'm mad at the person that got treated better than me.
Right.
It's really like not emotionally mature to think that way. And you're mad at him for saying that he did, to his knowledge, that kids weren't there. It's like, that's how you know it's a bad faith argument. You guys all just attacked him and you continue to attack him. It's very weird. Stop being weird.
Yeah, there you go.
Like
somebody said, I don't really understand this. They said, I was in the RPF. Can you relate to me? I don't know. What does that mean? Relate to you how? As a human being? Absolutely, I can relate to you.
Is he supposed to relate to your experience?
Yeah, I don't know what that means.
I wasn't in the Sea Org, but can I talk to him having a conversation about addiction? Because that's what this was really about.
Yeah, well,
everybody's experience in life is literally different. And what is kind of scary is that if you're putting yourself and you're othering people and you're saying, well, us over here that were the Sea Org, that were kids, or whatever you were, we're in this club and we had it worse than you guys. You're othering people. And you know who does that? You know what people do that? You know what people do that?
I know.
Literally, no, not. I mean, I'm talking to them. Like, it's just so it's really, like, it's really abusive. It's really nasty. And I don't want to be in this community. I don't. That's not my goal. They fought really hard to keep us from talking about addiction. This is about helping people, and this is about doing the right thing, because I don't want to be distracted either by this stuff, by whatever people are saying. Everybody, we're all human beings. We all are just trying to live our life every single day. And people want to get out of that mentality of the struggle they've been in. I'm not talking about people that are in cults. I'm talking about anybody. But so hold on. But that does not matter. Everybody's experience is different. Period.
Yeah, and plus, I mean, I lived with the Sea Org for almost 30 years, most of 5 days a week, if not longer. And so, and I was kind of became invisible after a while. In other words, there was a point at which they stopped acting a certain way because I was there. So I got to see a lot of things that a Sea Org member, especially one at the retail level, never would have seen. And I wanted to share that experience because I thought it was important because I was in a unique position. But what happened was I came out and I tried to explain it and tell my story, and people were saying, "Oh, you're just trying to say you're special." So I'm like, oh, this is like being right back in Scientology.
It's because they're mentally ill. And they need to get.
I guess, yeah. But I'm not trying to shame them for saying that. I'm just trying to say, can you just rethink it a little bit? Can you
Yeah, I'm
rethink
sorry.
your?
I just get upset too.
Yeah, it's fine. I get it.
It's just because like I just feel like it's bullying again, and so it's just so weird.
Yeah.
What is this? Deny, attack, reverse, victim, offender. Darvo is why those accusations don't make sense. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. There's also, I mean, maybe it's not relevant, but there's people from other cults who made a lot of money in those cults. Like there's people who left Nixium who made a lot of money in Nixium because it was a multi-level marketing cult. And they're really well-respected cult spokespeople, and nobody's saying, "Oh, but you made a lot of money and you wanted to be there." It's like weird.
What? That would make it harder to leave if you ask me.
Yeah, it did make it hard to leave. Why do you think I was I was there for so long? I really didn't want to be unemployed, and I'm being very vulnerable when I tell you that because that's a piece of shit thing. That's a piece of shit thing on my part to not want to be unemployed, to want to find a safe way out, to want to not betray all these young people that I'd worked with and helped. Because when I first went to Gold, these guys were all banished for filmmaking. They were all being punished because they couldn't make a film. They let them out of the kitchen duty to make a film with me. We made a film, and all of a sudden their lives got transformed. But then somehow I get accused of having like 14-year-old slaves making my bed at Gold, and it's just not the story. It's not what happened.
Well, I know. I feel like you still feel nobody's deleting comments. Why are these people so weird? The thing is, you're a victim, period, and he doesn't need to explain himself to you. And it seems like you guys just continue to attack. And it's because someone else said to do it, or someone else said this and someone else did that. It doesn't matter. It has nothing to do with him. He is not the leader. Were you running the place? Were your orders what said that? Did you make them wear those clothes and physically? It's like there's no argument.
Yeah, I know.
No arguments, you guys.
I know.
Old.
Hey guys, really, I treated my slaves really well. Okay, I loved them. Now, can we just fuck off and talk about something relevant?
Oh, yeah. So if some comments are getting deleted, they're my mods, and it's because you're being hateful.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm not deleting them though.
Yeah. Right.
So don't be hateful. I'll answer this last one. Fuck, I really don't want to. We might have to address it later. I don't want to make it about that person any more than it has been. So let's
I know people in a cult.
Hold on, let me see.
Were we meant to address that? I don't know.
I don't really read the last one.
That was just a really generalized statement. I don't know what to say about that.
I'm just that was nice.
Thank you.
I just really want, you guys, when I talked to Mitch and I could tell he was genuine and he wasn't bullshitting me, and he's like, I don't want to talk about anything about that situation. He's like, I just happened to come across your YouTube that way.
Well, hold on. Let's just be really 100% honest. I heard about you because of the controversy. Yeah. And I was interested because Dodge Landison mentioned something about it to me, and I'm like, oh, I want to check that out. I watched 5 minutes of the video, the thing about Aaron, and I'm not all that interested. I mean, I'm interested in supporting you as a victim, but I'm not all that interested in it. And I don't have to know all the detail. Yeah, but then when I went to your website and I read your blog, and I have been looking for people, I'm like, whoa, I can really relate to this person on this level. So I don't care about all this stuff. And I reached out to you, and I was very clear. I'm like, we ain't talking about that.
Yeah.
And then Aaron just decided to make sure I had to talk about it by sending me in the middle of the night these most ridiculous bullying texts. I'm like, oh my God.
Because we really weren't gonna do that. And then but
no, he made this happen.
He made to,
because like, what am I going to do? Like, just let him threaten me? Like, I don't care if he burns my YouTube. YouTube is nothing to me. I don't give a shit. My life is so much bigger and more important than YouTube. And if he wants to burn it down with lies and bullying, and then the thing was, when he sent me those texts, I'm like, what? And then, when I tried to rationalize with him and explain to him, I told him the truth. And I told you, I said, when we do this stream, people's heads are going to explode because they're going to think it's about Aaron, but it's not. So fuck them. Let them think that. I don't care.
Well, that's what's so weird. It's
and then, but hold on. And then when he sent me those texts, and I explained to him, like, I've been looking for to speak with mental health people and addiction, and Lindsay is like perfect. She's very relatable to me. We have a similar experience. And he's like, well, you could have picked hundreds of them. So basically what he's saying, fuck you, Lindsay. You don't get a voice. You don't get to talk. You need to shut up. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to let that happen. I'm not going to let that happen to anyone, especially a woman. And so that's why I was like completely willing to address it. And that's why I put the texts out there, because anybody who reads those texts, they're not gonna, if you think bad of me for reading those texts, and you got some serious self-awareness.
You were very nice. And I was like, why are you being nice?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So that's the deal. I'm like, no, this is wrong. I don't, I'll do a new YouTube channel. I don't fucking care. I mean, Aaron is this whole group of people have already made sure that I don't have a voice on YouTube. They've just decided that I'm, and that's fine. I don't really give a shit, and I've never pushed back against it and any stuff ever since the Marilyn Honig thing, when I tried to talk to her about toning things down, and she accused me of trying to silence her. And then I got triggered and I said some things I wish I wouldn't have said.
Well, hold on. I'm getting confused. Hold on.
I'm just saying that all of this noise has happened. I've just shut up about it, and I've pretty much
attacked you. What do you think that it is?
What's that?
What do you think the reason is that they attacked you? Like, do you think?
Oh, well, I think the reason is it's just cultic conditioning, because the one thing that Scientology does, and I've written about this in my book, and I did a deep analysis on this. One of the ways that it survives with its membership is to convince people that they have formidable enemies. Right? Because unimportant movements don't have enemies. Little Joe Schmo doesn't have an enemy. But if you have an enemy, you must be doing something right. And these people are really indoctrinated into that. They need to keep that Scientology mindset. Enemies. They need to find the enemies. They need to find Mitch, Brisker, Mike, and of course, if you notice, all the people that are being attacked were all the people from the international base. Me, Mike, Claire, Mark, Amy, blah, blah, blah. It's just that group. They've sort of singled us out. Not all of them. Wow. There's some people from the base that they haven't. But it's just kind of weird, because we're actually the ones, and look at Mike. He's partially responsible for putting the message about Scientology in front of potentially 250 million households in America. Right? I mean, that's a big deal. I've done major media. I published a book. I have more media coming out on 60 Minutes Australia soon, and yet I just get accused of shamelessly selling a book. I'm like, no, I'm here on this mission of trying to stop Scientology. But because you guys are so bent on having enemies, and you really don't know how to identify an enemy, you just go after people on your own team, because somehow you see us that we were at such a high corporate level, which we weren't. We were traumatized and brainwashed just like you. But you think we're on such a high level, this sort of bringing us down is going to kind of like satisfy your hunger to have enemies, right? Because when you attack me, you're protecting the children, and you're not.
But the thing is, though, too, is it takes balls to speak out against anything. And it sounds that you literally put yourself in a very vulnerable situation by talking about it, period, by making a book about it, by talking on YouTube about it, and all you got was shit for it. And that's okay.
That's not totally true. I've gotten a lot of support, and most of the reviews, usually on YouTube, it's not been fantastic. I mean, I do have, the over 4,000 or something subs I do have. There's some very loyal people, and they get me, and they believe me, and some of them knew me. So it hasn't been horrible, but it's certainly not. It's not been what it could have been, if I was more accepted. I mean, I'm definitely struggling for work and and YouTube could have been very helpful, but it was, and at the same time, I'm completely willing to take some responsibility for what I did to mistell my story that might have triggered people. And I have put attention, I've put self-work into saying, what did you do to tell your story without being like the Scientology thing of making yourself wrong? Like, what did I do to not tell my story right? So to make it relatable to people, to help people. And so then I was thinking, well, okay, fine. Maybe my purpose isn't the bringing down Scientology. I mean, that is important to me. Maybe my purpose is more talking about addiction, talking about trauma, helping people to understand how to mentally escape and improve themselves. And that's when I came across you. And that's why I felt the connection was important on that level. So anyway.
Yeah, and I could tell instantly that you were not.
Yeah, I mean, I knew people were going to react to it negatively, but I'm like, fuck it, I don't care. It's not why I'm doing it.
Yeah, and I have a whole bunch of people that watch my stream, and before all this, I'm getting back to, it was a week of nonsense, and it's done. And now I have to go back to my recovery stuff, because this is it's a waste of time with all of that drama. And I want to be with productive people like you that want to actually tell your story that can make a difference.
I will probably, at some point just change the name of my channel, because right now it's branded after my book. And so, yeah, I'll probably even change the name of it, because I'm just not all that interested in participating in that all that kind of stuff. When people need help, you can, you sort of have to pick the way in which you're going to help.
Right.
So,
exactly. Mitch answered. Oh yes. Okay. What else? Hold on. Yeah, I know. I think you had the one about Aaron, and I don't want to do that right now. What else? Yeah, thank you. Ad hominem attacks are not cool, but it is a strategy that unfortunately it works to get people worked up, and it distracts against the purpose and the movement. And so just like apostate Alex, I commented about Narconon being investigated by the UK and tagged you.
Yeah, I will say I'm going to look a little deeper into this thing about kids in the sewer, because this is an important issue for me. So and if I've somehow missed that, it's only out of my passion for bringing attention to the crimes that I think are happening in real time, which are mostly the elder abuse, because that's just why. If I've erred, it's because I want more attention put on these other issues.
Yeah. I don't know what that means. Just because thank you. It's just a shame others refuse to cover it up. It just because I had something to do with it. Spite is petty, and certain people need to grow the F up, and I'm the youngest one.
Yeah, it's kind of like there's too many of the SP TV channels have become grievance channels. Like, they're just about grievances. It's just weird. I honestly don't get it.
Well, it's almost like SPTV, like he made that up. Like
No, I think a viewer made it up and he jumped on it. I think it was a bad idea to have a brand. I think it was just not a good idea.
Well, it's not even encompassing. It's like anybody could claim that they are, but then no, you're in the club, and
but it's still a brand, and it's a club, and it still has a gatekeeper, and it still has a leader. It has all of those things. There's a documentary on Netflix right now about Anonymous, the Anonymous movement.
Really?
And it's worth watching. Yeah, it's pretty good. But it's called the Antisocial Network, the Antisocial.
Oh, someone told me about that.
Yeah, antisocial media, whatever. So it's like this is what we're seeing this on YouTube. We're seeing the antisocial media. This isn't social media. Bringing down Scientology, that's not antisocial media. That's social media. Bringing down each other and just expressing our grievances and saying these unfounded things and saying, no, you're wrong because I saw videos or whatever it is, or you're that's antisocial media is what it is. It's using it. It's just not the way you do it.
Well, and the thing is, what I was not saying, what I was saying was like, it's just like it developed, and it's just like everyone's like, oh, SBTB, like it's like they made it into like their own little weird thing, and I don't want to talk about it anymore because we
need to be done with it.
And like it's almost like they think it's like an exclusive club or something, and that's cool. You can go be cool. Liz Gale is from a public Scientology family. I mean, no harm, but that is way different than the Sea Org.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a 1,000 times different. But let me ask you this: does that make Liz's trauma any different? I don't think so.
No, but that's what she's trying to say. She's a hypocrite for saying that to you, because she's just because you weren't in the Sea Org. Well, maybe she wasn't either.
Yeah. I mean, but I was the people at Gold. They used to say, "Yeah, you're really in the Sea Org. You just get to drive out of here." I mean, they like to think of me. I mean, there was a woman who I worked with up there who was kind of my boss, but I refused to have a boss, and she screamed at me one day. I mean, this person literally abused me verbally to the point of I didn't want to live anymore. I mean, it was like horrible, but she screamed at me one day, "You're a Sea Org member!" Like literally, like veins bursting. Jeez. And I looked at her like, "You're fucking crazy." And she caught herself. And she had a moment of self-awareness where she realized, hey, I just said something totally psychotic. And then she went back to being psychotic, but yeah, I used to get some crazy shit. Yeah. Like I'll give you an idea. This particular person, it's a long story. We'll tell it some other time, but it was about 7:38 at night. I'd worked a 12-hour day. I needed to be driven home to LA because I wasn't getting enough sleep to drive, and they were driving me back and forth. And I'd gotten all of my work done, and I went to her and I said, "Look, I'm gonna leave a half hour early because I got nothing left to give you today." Right? You know what she did? She went to the wall, grabbed the phone off the wall, and called security and said, "Mitch Brisker just physically assaulted me." Like, this is the kind of crazy shit that would go on. Unfortunately, I got a call from one of the senior security sec checkers who like, "What the fuck is going on?" I'm like, "Nothing." And they knew that this person's a little crazy. So they didn't send security over. But some of these people are so crazy that they have no identity out of their Sea Org post. So if you do anything that threatens their survival, like me not being there could be a problem. If I'm not there and I'm supposed to be, and David Miscavige calls them and says, "Where's Mitch?" And they say, "I don't know," they're fucked. Like, they need to be able to answer up. But somehow I'm not being abused because I'm like a public person. And yet I'm trauma bonded to this group. I'm at any given time, I'm in charge of at least 3 projects that are worth millions of dollars. So if any given time I say, "Fuck it, I'm just going to leave," which some people have said, "Why didn't you just leave?" The legal liabilities, forget the fact that I'd be unemployed, I'd lose my family, but just the fact that I'd be hauled into court for having violated a responsibility that I took on. Because you don't even need a contract. Once you take on a project and you don't finish a project, you could be sued if you just decide to walk away. So there was tremendous pressure to a degree which is actually traumatic. And yet people like to say, "Well, why don't you just drive away?" So I don't get it.
It's not to get. So this
I guess.
To say, put this to bed for you, and say, Mitch just said there were children born in the Sea Org. He just said he knows 2 children that were born in the Sea Org.
Yeah.
So he did not
say.
Yeah,
they're in their 40s. My point is
right.
Whatever. I don't know. People are not listening. They're not listening.
She just wanted to put it to bed. And I want to say I just got a text that Liz Gale, that there were being deleted by the mods, messages from like Liz Gale having multiple accounts, writing things on there that were not appropriate maybe. And Mitch said already to email him if you had those.
Yeah, but I have a contact email on my YouTube channel. email me. I'm very responsive.
In good faith, you know what I mean, and to talk on here about it, but it doesn't seem to be that way.
Right. Well, I sometimes this feels a little bit like daytime TV, except you get to participate. Like, it's just weird. It's like the Jerry Springer show or something. Like, it's not really legitimate.
Yeah, I know. What else? Oh wait, was there something? Oh, I got more starred ones. Oh my god, I didn't even see, dude. Sorry.
Yeah, there's a bunch here.
And
thank you all for the super chats. I don't know where those are going, but I don't particularly care.
This is the one I was like trying not to answer. No, he got a key from the front desk, and I was in fact with another man, and he came in, yelled at me, yelled at the guy, called my mom, and told on me for banging.
So he told your mom that you were cheating on him? Is that what the implication is? I'm not.
Well, it was during my relapse too, so my mom obviously knew. I
get it.
It was like a month-long relapse, and but no, he said Lindsay's here, be doing blah 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 blah. She told me, but she's like, why the fuck is he calling me? Like, you've been together for like a month, like a couple weeks to a month. So so everybody hear that? That's the last time I'm talking about that. And what's this? Oh, we already read that. Oh,
we did. I think we did.
Well, let's just summarize it one more time. What did I make a video about yesterday? I made a video about the text messages Aaron Smith-Levin sent to Mitch. Actually, Jenna also sent a message to Mitch today, and asking him not to do it. And Aaron also sent a voicemail to me crying today, which we are not going to be talking about at all.
Additionally.
Yeah, I don't plan to comment on it because it wasn't real. And so what the thing is, go ahead, Mitch, say, what did he say to you?
Well, what he said was what he said in the text messages, which you posted those, I posted those. Basically what he said was, if anybody didn't read them, he basically, in the middle of the night, it was midnight my time, so it was 3 o'clock. Oh no, it's 10 o'clock my time, it was 1 o'clock his time. He sent me this email. It was really weird. There was no hi, Mitch. It was just a screenshot of from this stream that we were going to do, and it said, is this a real stream or is this a troll from Lindsay? And I'm like, my head was just like, this guy is so crazy and so toxic. Like, in other words, is this real or is this just Lindsay being a total crazy piece of shit? And I'm like, no, I'm not going to stand for that.
He knows that.
Yeah, like that is just. And so I wrote, but I'm like, I took a breath. I'm like, and I wrote back and I told him the truth. I said, I discovered Lindsay because of the controversy, which I have no interest in it. When I learned about her on her blog, when I learned about her addiction, and I've been looking for people in that space, and she's perfect. Okay. There's other people that I could do this with, but you're the first person that I clicked with, and I would know we could do this, and people I think would enjoy it. We've gotten messages. People have asked that we do this as a regular show.
I know, that's pretty cool.
So yeah. So I explained this to Aaron. I said, don't worry about it. It's got nothing to do with you. I don't care about the controversy. And then I said, but thank you for your concern. I hope you're well. And then he wrote me back and he said, you know exactly what you're doing. And I'm like, oh my God, he's doubling down. You know exactly what you're doing. And I didn't mention the fact that I was aware that when people saw the thumbnail, there was going to be some controversy, but I didn't care about that because it's irrelevant. Right. Because my actual purpose was that I told you all the controversy is, you can confirm this. I said it's off limits. We're not going to go there. That's not why we're doing this. And we agreed on that. And so then I keep getting these threats from Aaron about, if you do a video, I'm going to do a video on you, right? Like, I can already prove that he has prevented me from earning an income on YouTube. And now he's threatening me. I could take him to civil court and sue him.
And you're not. And
I'm not, because I don't really care about that. Well, it depends. It depends how far he wants to go with the whole thing. But
Well,
he's already violated. He's, he's already put himself in a position where I could take him into court and sue him and probably take, probably really do so. But that's not my game. I'm not interested in doing that. So now he's threatening me, and I'm saying, dude, why are you threatening me? This has nothing to do with you. Go ahead and make a video. Why it's going to look weird because what we're doing has nothing to do with you. And he kept saying, I think I know you know exactly what you're doing. You know exactly what you're doing. So then eventually I gave up and I said, okay, then that's what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to expand the subject matter of the stream.
Yeah.
And that's basically what happened. So it's like, because I was really pissed because it really offended me that he led the conversation by saying, is this some batshit crazy stuff that Lindsay's doing, or is this real? And I'm like, no, dude, F off. This is like not cool. So I don't care. Aaron, burn my channel to the ground. I don't give a shit. You're not going to.
Not possible.
Yeah. You're not going to fuck with me. You're not going to fuck with my friends. You should come on and just apologize and sort this and just calm this whole thing down.
I don't want any apologies, but
yeah, you know what I'm saying. I'm just whatever. I'm saying if you want, yeah, I don't want an apology either. I just want him. I want him to just like leave me alone.
Yeah,
minions off. But anyway, that's
that makes sense.
Okay, look, yeah.
Wait, don't get brought up. We're gonna go to the next one. I've been consistently and increasingly impressed with you, Mitch. You're a good dude. Can't wait to work more with you in the future.
Thank you, Michelle. And somebody said, Scientology Trigger said, Mitch flew in jets, dined with celebs, and made millions, and you didn't. I don't know what to say to that. I mean, that doesn't mean I wasn't abused. Like, somehow I'm like, oh, this is great. $1,400 sushi dinner. I'm not, I'm...
That's the thing, though. People are abused that are celebrities. People are abused. It doesn't discriminate yet again. So
it's just
that's really bullying.
Here's a weird thing. Here's a weird thing. So I'm on this jet flying to England. I'm assuming it's Tom Cruise's jet. I'm sure it was. He's not on the jet, and I'm there with Miscavige and whatever, and Lou and these other people, Diana Hubbard and whatever. And you know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking I'm fucked because I don't want to be this close to this motherfucker. Do you people understand that? I'm thinking I'm screwed because I've now been pulled into this inner circle, and everybody who's pulled into that inner circle is just eventually meets a horrible end like I did. So this was not some great pleasure ride, although you would like to paint it that way. So
interesting. Well, I'm proud of you for addressing everything.
I mean, those 5-star tacos don't taste as good when you're looking over your shoulder. What is this? No, the Henleys don't have private jets, Michelle. No, this was Tom's jet. I knew the pilot, Randy Hepner, and I knew that he was Tom's pilot, so I assumed it was Tom's jet and whatever. It was just like,
yeah, those are a lot of monies.
Yeah, and I'm sure. Yeah, I think it was a G5, but I don't know what they cost. But but here's the thing: those celebrities, they buy those jets, then they lease them out. So those jets are flying every day, and they're making money on them. And Miscavige, he probably used Scientology grift money to pay for the fuel to fly. Tom tosses the keys. Hey, Dave, here's the keys to my jet, and then he's like, "You just got to gas her up." So.
Oh, wait, this is another one. Thanks for showing up and standing, Mitch. That's awesome.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. Show me some love. Go to my channel.
Please.
Yeah, I'm coming back with more content. I'm going to do more content with Lindsay if she wishes.
Of course.
We're going to do more stuff because I think we have some important things to discuss.
I would love anybody to come on here along with Mitch at any time that does have anything that they want to talk about that they've overcome, any kind of adversity, because
if you walked away from a cult, if you walked away from an abusive relationship, if you overcame addiction, like, let's have a conversation about that, because I think those are the important things.
And we're all human beings, and we all struggle, and a lot of it is the same kind of thing. So I just really, I'm always looking for people. Since everything, I've had interviews I had to push off this past week because it got too crazy. And so I'm just glad to be able to, I have another author on this weekend, another guy that did a documentary on the opiate crisis that I'll share. And I forget, I have a couple others that I have to get back to, but
Yeah.
And Christine Fountain.
Great. Well, hey, thanks, Christine. Just get my contact. It's Mitch. It's Scientology, the Big Lie, .com, and just
Is it called?
Scientology, the Big Lie, all one word, at gmail.com.
Okay.
And then I'll shoot you my personal email, and we can, of course, figure out what we're going to do.
And then here is my email if anybody's interested in wanting to, Alex, if anybody wants to tell their story, like literally I'm interested in just you overcoming something and really how you prevail. Oh, and thank you, Lulu Baru. Thank you. Yeah, check it out. And then always follow me on Twitter. I'll put all this in the description later. Thank you, Steely Dancer. This is my Twitter. Mitch is going to get back on Twitter, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm actually going there right now to follow you, and I'm going to start posting again. Somehow, something happened to my account. Elon Musk doesn't like me.
Oh, he likes me.
My account got suspended. I can still lurk and shit, but I don't know that I can.
No, you're probably straight now.
Yeah, I will check it out. I think he just wants money from me, but I'm not going to give him money.
I pay him. So
yeah, I know you do, but
I got the check mark.
I don't. I'm like,
I'm so not cool.
What's that?
I said I'm so not cool because I have the blue check mark. That's what a lot of people say. Oh, sorry. Thank you for this. Be wary of people in the anti-cult space who close down dialogue. I want to say this is something that I get really wild about, is that in general, anybody that tries to shut down or silence someone or shut down dialogue it's dangerous, right? And I don't like to say that because it sounds exaggerated sometimes, but what I mean is, like, if there's a bad idea, if you don't like what someone is saying, then the only way to truly combat that is to introduce your idea. If you have a good idea, introduce it and let's discuss it, because shutting it down actually makes people want to hear it more. They want to know, why is this being shut down? Because it's very suspicious. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I just think that it's really scary thing. Tell that, oh, they were people that are hateful, they're not going to be tolerated, okay?
Yeah, no, it's moderating is different than shutting down dissent. That's not what is the word? It's not people they're not being canceled. They're just like, they're not being nice about it. They're stirring up trouble and stuff. Hey, Lindsay, I just discovered, I forgot my Twitter handle is.
Oh, here, let me put in.
Yeah, that's bitch with an M.
No.
Yeah, I got to change it.
No, are you fucking serious? What is it?
That's bitch with an M. You know, Mitch.
That's bitch with an M?
Yeah, that's my handle on Twitter. Because I never took.
Wait, so that's Mitch? Am I not?
Yeah, it's no. Well, Mitch is bitch with an M, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's my Twitter handle. That's bitch with an M.
Oh, okay. I get it. Okay. Oh my God, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know. I think I need to change it, but maybe Elon will let me change it. But I'll start posting on there and again.
Damn, it won't let me do it. It said it stopped me from doing it. It's her channel that were some rude. Yeah, I know. She's been on here before. It's okay, girl. It's okay, Layla. We talked the other day. No, it's not about discourse. It's about disrespect. It's about, and you know that, Layla. So this is, would be more clever if that's a Mitch. Hey, that's cool.
Well, say that again. Would be more clever. Yeah, that's a Mitch. Yeah. Life's a Mitch. Okay. Yeah. You're right. I need to change it. yeah, anyway, because it was just a joke. I met this actor on set one day, and he had a very thick accent, and he said his name was Dario. He's Italian. He said, "My name is Dario." And I said, "What?" And he went, Dario, like Mario with an M. And I went, "Oh, I'm Mitch. I'm Pitch with an M." And so I was just, anyway, it popped into my head. It's a funny story.
No, I don't know. I didn't see her comments. But I trust that my mods, they did say she's continuing to ask. I don't know what she was asking. They just said, but he offered to have this conversation through email after we did answer one of the questions.
Oh, okay.
So it kind of takes over this show when there's people like that know, and know that they're like supposedly friends, and what they're planning to do is just jack up the stream. And so we don't play that. Right? We don't do that.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know I don't even know who she is. And I'm not trying to be mean. I just don't like the rudeness.
Right.
What projects does Mitch have in the works?
Well, I'm doing some short documentaries that I'm editing and directing that I'm not at liberty to talk about, but they are kind of in the similar space. I'm working on my audiobook. And other than that, I'm following my basic policy, which is I won't work for anybody that won't hire me. But if you know anybody who needs a very talented older director, I'm definitely available for work. I have time, but I don't have any. That's pretty much it.
Thanks for the combo about recovery. That was great, but I won't be back. Unfortunately, mods deleted a ton of good and polite questions and comments, literally shutting down dialogue. Okay, well then I will.
That's cool. You probably shouldn't be here then.
Then I will, see what I don't even know what you're talking about, right?
Well, I tell you, in all honesty, we'll review this and see if maybe they weren't leaning too heavily.
We will,
and we'll be fair about it, because it's nobody wants to shut that stuff down.
You know what? And then we can have another live and do no. But the thing is, like last night, we didn't have any mods, and that's why I did that tonight, because it got real nasty. People were very nasty. Yeah, and I know who was in certain people that were in here that were using things to try to hurt me very badly that they knew would hurt me.
Yeah.
Congrats.
That's great.
Thank you.
Nice.
And did I miss anybody else? Oh my God, is there more starred ones? Am I missing? Sorry. We definitely will.
Yeah, please do more of these. Yeah, absolutely. We'll do it. Maybe we'll do like one a week.
Yeah, I'm down. Alrighty, guys. Well, I think this is it.
Yeah, time to say goodbye. This has been terrific, Lindsay. I so appreciate it. I appreciate you so much here. I think I see if mine's working.
It only lets me do it for some reason.
I don't know about that. Yeah, because you're the host. Yeah, it's not giving me access to my little special effects things. Oh, well.
Bye, guys. So you know how to find us. We are available, and thank you for tuning in.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
One second.